And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water powers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Orange 45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This is meant to be exciting clear, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Hello this evening, and you are taking a live look at Booster 14-2 as it prepares to roll out to the launch site ahead of Flight 9. I am D-Wise, I am your host for this evening, but of course, I am not alone for this. First off, I have Alex with me for the stream here today. How are you doing, Alex?
Well, it's a late night here in Europe, but it's it's a fantastic moment to roll something on Highway 4, I guess.
It sure is. Now, also, out in the field today, we've got a lot of people. We have Gage with the camera, we have Caesar with the camera, we have Max out there getting photos of this roll, and of course, in the background, pushing all of the buttons and pulling all of the levers, we have the one, the only, Kevin Michael Reed. So I feel like it's been a busy day. We are getting really close to launch at this point, Alex.
Yeah, finally. Hopefully this will be the last rollout of Booster 14 in general, because we know now that it's going to be expended on this mission for a good cause, doing lots of experiments. But yeah, hopefully on Tuesday we're going to get that 9th flight of Starship, and so Booster 14 heading off to the pad, getting ready for that launch.
Yeah, so of course I already see lots of questions in the queue here. If you have a question you want answered, be sure to @NASASpaceflight in the chat, and we will do our best to go over all of those things that you want to know about. I see someone asking about my location, and yes, I am in the Brownsville area. Right now, I'm not actually at the launch site. It has been a long day getting here, so I'm relaxing this evening and hanging out with you all as the booster rolls out to the launch site. So, of course, you can see Booster 14 here behind the parking garage. It's staging. They're at the point, basically, where they could start to roll at any point in line with what the beach access notices have said. Now, we are also not alone here, Alex and myself. We have someone very special with us this evening. Crispy, are you here?
Talking while muted.
All right, perhaps not quite yet.
Hang on a minute.
There we go. Shuttle horses.
I'm never
Good point.
muted. No, I'm never muted. I am never muted. It was the system that was muting me for some reason. That's never happened before. That's just a tail end to the day for me. It really is. But yes, thank you, D. Booster 14 too. Heading to the pad for launch. We've seen Ship 35 get its Starlinks. It's getting close, isn't it? It's starting to feel real.
It really is. I'm not used to showing up for a launch quite this late, nor being here when neither the booster nor the ship are at the launch site. It's really interesting to see. I've been wondering, basically over the past couple days, like, are they going to be able to make this Tuesday launch date?
After Flight 8, we saw that they rolled at least the ship itself, right? Because the booster had rolled out a little bit earlier in the campaign. But for Flight 8, we got the booster the ship rolling out rather, close to the first, at least the first launch attempt, right? We know afterwards that that first launch attempt scrubbed. And then they got 3 days later finally off the ground. But yeah, I mean, if they were able to do it on Flight 8, why not, right? Like if the ship is ready to go, just send it and put it out there. Of course, right now it's a booster, but perhaps during tomorrow's closure, there's another closure tomorrow for a transport on Highway 4 from the factory to the pad. So that'll probably be for the ship, and then we're probably gonna have a full stack really soon after.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this on some previous streams, but a lot of people are wondering, like, this is a holiday weekend in the US, and so we've known they can't fully close down the beach access. But with these, they're not fully closing it, right? I know we have people out there, so it's sort of a rolling closure just as it moves, so it's not actually blocking the beach access, and that's why they're able to do these rolls, even though theoretically they can't close off the road, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as the beach is open, I think that's sort of the sticky point of their sort of agreement, right, with the FAA and the Cameron County and the state of Texas, that they cannot block the beach during these holidays that there are, the federal holidays, the big holidays in the U.S. And so Memorial Day is one of those, including the weekend prior to Memorial Day, which is this weekend, right? And so, right now, anybody can go to the beach because the booster race is still not on the road. And as far as I know, traffic has been, going on up and down the road so far still out to the beach. So you can go to the beach. It's just that, if you want to get out of the beach, at some point you might have a very bad traffic jam on your way out, right? Or on your way in, I guess. You might have a bit of a delay. That's why they call it a road delay, as they call it, right? Because they don't technically close the entire road.
Yeah, we are... It is always interesting when one of these moves is unexpected and you get trapped on the beach. That has happened for me, and then it's like, all right, I guess we get to... and it was actually a Massey's to production site move, so it was a longer delay than the production site to launch site, and you get to just hang out there for a while.
Yeah.
This one is a question I haven't really seen before. I might have missed it, but Misty is wondering where the ship's onboard computers are stored. I actually don't know. We're always talking about, all right, the tanks are here, all this sort of stuff, the plumbing. Do either of you know where the computers themselves are stored for that control?
I personally have a feeling that it might be on the forward dome, but one of the things that I'm thinking about is where else could they go? Could they put a flight computer? And obviously, there's plenty of room on the aft section. But then again, having the flight computers next to the engines doesn't sound that like a great idea. But then, because Chris is here, I think, wait, hang on. Because the shuttle, I think it had at least one of the flight computers near the aft section.
Yeah,
Chris?
shuttle question. Thank you, Alex. Something I can
There you
answer.
Go.
Right,
yeah,
so
'cause I have my own question about that too.
yeah, well, you had the flight deck. Obviously, you saw the displays. They had 5 flight computers there, but they had what was called the sail at Marshall, which was literally like a simulated shuttle, but it looked nothing like a shuttle. It was like a rectangle of masses and masses of wires. So everything, the avionics, the computers, were all hooked up there. And they did have individual controllers and computers for different parts and in the aft. And also, remember, the RS-25s had their own computers as well, the main engine controllers, which they've upgraded. The only thing they've really upgraded on the RS-25s for SLS.
Someone tagging me in chat saying the Saturn V computer. Well, the Saturn V had an entire ring, a structure just for the flight computers and a bunch of other things like the initial measurement unit and things like that. But that was in the Saturn V era, the 1960s, when definitely, computers were a lot bigger and a lot more complicated and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and before we even see the booster make its way onto the road here, we have some support that I want to thank. We have Doug Ramsey gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much. We also have Ninja Decimator gifting 5 Red Team memberships.
Hang on, D. The rules, Ninja Decimator, what's the rules?
I'm tired. I'm so sorry. Let me redo that. And we have Ninja Decimator. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, that sounded awful. Gifting 5 Red Team memberships. We have Michael Oliver becoming a Pad Rat member as well. So if you received one of the gifted memberships, be sure to thank the person who gifted it to you in chat. That helps us share the membership program with more people who would perhaps not have been able to experience it otherwise. We also have some support in here from Turtle Sanctuary, who just says shuttle. I thought you might appreciate that one, Chris.
I certainly do. Yes. Oh, by the way, people are asking about Shuttle Sunday. We are so busy. There's no chance I can do one tomorrow. I'll explain. It's not just a case of turning your microphone and talking about Shuttle. I could do that at a drop of a hat. We have to download so many assets from L2. I mean, like hundreds of photographs and videos and things like that from L2 and some public sources as well. And it takes a long time to get ready. So let's say the Sunday after Starship launches. So all you Shuttle fans out there, keep your fingers crossed for a launch on Tuesday or next week, and then we'll have Shuttle Sunday the following Sunday.
I'm seeing several people here asking actually about Ship 35 and the Starlink simulation satellites that have been sort of a little bit of a question mark. It seemed like they might have been going to load them previously, and then today, I will say I was actually out there this evening and I saw some of them getting loaded. Chris, do you know how many of those have been loaded? Have they finished up that loading?
You know what we've got? I'm going to spam. You give me a chance to do my first spamming of chats. I think it was 8. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. But
Yep,
I'm going
8.
to... There we go. Great. So we've got a time lapse. Thanks to Matt for doing a time lapse here. That is a link to the video of literally all of it time lapsed with the gaps in between the loadings removed. So it's a very convenient video to watch of the Starlinks being loaded into Ship 35. So yeah, 8 is the answer, D.
All right. That's really neat to see. I really hope that we get to see them get to the point of deployment this time around, because the last few flights have been feeling like a slight setback, and so this time around, I don't know, I have a good feeling. I think I hope we get to that point and see them to continue to progress.
By the way, D, we've just seen some guy wave at the camera. I wonder, is that Max?
No, that's not Max. But hello to whoever that is.
Yeah.
Who is watching the stream.
Yeah, if you're watching, hi.
Yeah, wave back. That's right. That's fine by me.
So back in the early flights, for sure, we know they used Tesla batteries to power some of the systems. Alex, do you know if they're still using those Tesla battery systems? Tyler is wondering.
It's been a while since we've seen that sort of thing. I seem to remember Elon at one point saying that they wanted to upgrade the battery system and the avionics. And, with Block 2 of the ship, we actually got the update from SpaceX, ahead of Flight 7 that they were upgrading the avionics and the power systems, and they called them smart batteries and things like that. So maybe, who knows? Probably by now it's been changed. Like maybe it's drawing a little bit of inspiration from those Tesla batteries, right? But it's sort of being, made a bit more SpaceX thing. You know what I mean, right? Like it's probably Teslax. You know how they take like the technology from another company or another agency and they add an X to the name, like Pika X and things like that. Well, maybe it is sort of like that, or like the Circa material that they use on Falcon 9. Same thing with like Circa or something like that. But yeah, they tend to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like some modification of the Tesla batteries that they have developed or something like that. And maybe, at SpaceX it's called something like Teslax or whatever. Star Power. Probably. Knowing them, it's probably some star something.
Yeah, I definitely could see them giving it a creative name. And it is, looking at that clock in the upper left-hand corner, just ticking down closer and closer to flight. So on the previous flights, we've seen actually they've had booster engines that have gone off and then started working again. And MXR Spade is wondering how many engines will work on Booster 14 in the entire flight. And thank you for the support there.
For Ascent, I hope all 33. That's for sure. Is this like trying to make us guess how many engines are going to be working, or like what's the plan for this flight?
I'm not totally certain. I mean, why don't we go over the phases of like boost back, landing, burn, all that sort of stuff, and then also say if we think that will be the case, because they're doing some special things this time around as far as the number of engines that are working.
Yeah, on Ascent, obviously 33, and I want to see all 33, of course. For boost back, same deal as every other flight, 13 engines, right? They're going to be relighting the middle in the middle ring of 10 engines. Then for the landing burn, though, they're going to be doing something different this time around, which is partially why they're doing all of this out there in the Gulf and not returning back to the launch site and catching the booster, because they're doing weird things, new things. So they don't want to risk all of their launch infrastructure with that. So what they're going to be doing is, instead of lighting up all 13 engines, or all 13 center engines, the middle, so essentially the centermost 3 engines, one of them is going to be disabled. And what they're going to be using is sort of trying to see if they can use one of the outer, one of the middle ring of engines, one of those engines on the 10 engines of that middle ring, use it as a backup during the landing burn, and then finish the landing burn on 2 engines, essentially. So it'll probably be something like, 12 engines at first, then down select to, 2 centers and one of the middle ring engines. Then one of those middle ring engines, that engine will finally shut down and complete the burn with 2 engines. While on previous times when they splashed down a booster, they sort of went all the way down to the ocean. It seems like, by the wording of their website, that it seems like it's going to be hovering, or sort of like, shutting down the engines well above the water. And it says hard splashdown. So yeah, I think it's now going to be smooth, soft splashdown kind of thing, as we've seen, for example, with Booster 11 or Booster 13 when it did the offshore booster divert and things like that. Either way, we're going to see a firebolt probably.
Ooh. Let's take a look at these engines here.
And then these engines, obviously not the ones here in this picture, but the ones on the ship, all 6, almost all the way, because the vacuum engines usually shut down like 20 seconds before SECO. But this time around, we want the full burn, please.
Yes, we definitely want a full burn this time around, and we also want to thank those of you who have supported us in the chat. Of course, we have Bideford here, a regular in the chat here, with a super chat saying, Good evening to all NSF nerds. Thank you to Alex, D, and Chris for this stream tonight. Thank you for the support, Bideford. And we also have Doug Ramsey with a super chat saying, looking forward to Flight 9. Thanks for all the great coverage per usual. Thank you very much, Doug. Now, I've seen several people wondering this one, Chris. When Flight 9 patch?
Yes. We always tend to go towards when they go to full stack. It makes sense. It's a massive milestone, and the vehicle is at full stack. Booster 14.2 and Ship 35 will be together for flight, and all being well, that will be during a good time of day for us to reveal the actual patch design, how it looks, and the availability to pre-order it. The pre-order is like the Flight 8 patch, and I think Flight 7 as well. And then basically what will happen is you will be guaranteed it to be sent to you via postage once it arrives in a warehouse in Texas. There we go. We're just getting a nice view of the van. The NSF van. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Dan.
Oh, we're going to get a cameo from Dan here, by the look of things. Does he realise he's going to be a cameo? And will we get a wave? I always feel it's necessary when we have our team out there on camera, live, to wave at said camera. But I don't know if I don't think he's aware. In fact, this doesn't seem like a robotic camera the way that moved there. I believe that must be probably Gage or someone.
I believe it's Caesar.
Caesar, there we go.
I think he plans on following the booster down the road as it works its way to the launch site here. So lots of the team out and about for this. That was Gage Cam. I am so sorry, Gage. But yes, both Gage and Caesar are providing live views this evening. A whole group out there. Jerry is also out there. So tons of people here. And now this one, I think we have to go around the circle on if we think Ship 35 will actually make it this time. I'll start off, and I will say I want to remain positive, so I will just say yes. They've done a lot of learning here, and so hopefully that has guided all of their decisions this time around, and I want to see SECO and proper re-entry so they can really get the data this flight. But how about you, Alex? And then we'll go to Chris.
I also want to be positive. I really want to see the ship get into SECO, the planned SECO, because every time I say I want to see it reach SECO, somebody says, well, it's going to reach SECO, just, the planned one. Okay, so yeah, the planned SECO, I really wanted that to happen. But also at the same time, we'll say, obviously it will not be ideal if it were to fail again before SECO, right? But also, it's like, compared to what we saw ahead of Flight 8, it felt a little bit rushed and everything. Like, this time around, it didn't feel like that, right? Like, they tested, retested, and retested that vehicle, trying to get all the things solved and everything, right? Like, it feels like at least this time around they're doing their due diligence to avoid and prevent any sort of issue with the ship. And just as I say that, I'll probably have jinxed this vehicle, this ship. So I'm sorry, SpaceX.
My turn, I think. I also feeling very positive about this because SpaceX will be very, very well aware they don't want 3 in a row failing. Now, we do know that the second failure was not in commonality, as they would put it, with the other flights. So they've had 2 big data points on potential fixes, which they've employed, as they say, for Flight 9. That gives me confidence that 35's burn will go well. I do want to note what I've been saying on Raptor sides is that they have, and they did stress this as well, removed a lot of the TPS from the ship. That is to get data on re-entry, and if they lose it during re-entry, although that will be portrayed by certain factors in the media as a failure, it won't be. It'll be a good data point to see where their sweet spot is with the amount of TPS they're required to have on the ship. So if they do lose it during re-entry, or if we start seeing some burn through like we did on the first re-entry, it will be something where they'll say, well, that's great. We've got real data to play with here, and now we know exactly what we need as far as TPS on the ship going forward. And that's going to be very important to learn. And any shuttle fan in chat will know that learning about your TPS early before you even put a crew on it, which is a long way off, of course, is going to be absolutely crucial. So I am an advocate of this testing of the TPS and how much they need on the ship to get to the point where they understand where the sweet spot is between too much TPS, which is overkill, or not enough TPS where they lose the vehicle or they have problems with burn through. And I think with the Block 2 design, they have a lot more leeway on the flap side, Alex, don't they? They're not going to have the same... We saw on the first, which was a stunning thing to watch, by the way, the first time we saw re-entry on the ship, they had to burn through at the hinges. With the Block 2 design, it's different.
Yeah, about the re-entry, I'm also quite hopeful. Like, once it gets to Seco, and if we see that there's no tumblings or anything like that, like we saw on Ship 28, right? I do think there's a good chance that we might see a good, smooth re-entry for this vehicle. Of course, we'll see what level of smooth it is. But I do think that at least the flaps are going to be in a lot better condition. Boy, I remember Ship 29, as you mentioned, right? The hinges and everything. And even future, like after that, we still saw some burn through on later vehicles as well. So here's hoping that, those changes are going to be, fully demonstrated.
And here it looks like the booster is making its way onto the highway. So that should be the start of this roll. We're going to, of course, get some great up-close views as it passes the team out there. We have a bit more support to thank here. We have Ryan C. becoming a Red Team member. And we have a super chat from Rose Ann Devasto. I hope I pronounced your last name properly. Chris is going to get that sorted out if that's in reference to Discord.
I can actually answer it, D. It's automated. There's nothing I can actually personally do. I will say to Roseanne that it takes usually up to an hour for YouTube, which is where you've become a launch director, to talk to Discord and bring you into the Discord. Remember, Discord will be within an hour usually. It's no longer. It's sometimes sooner, but you'll suddenly find that the Discord is open to you if that's what you're talking about, the links-wise. The membership in the YouTube area, which is in the community area, and the membership area of the YouTube channel, you will have available to you now. But it's all automated, so it's just a question of how fast the two platforms talk to each other.
So this is a fun one regarding the equipment in the field here from Eric about whether or not CP11 has a horn on it we can honk if, people get nearby. Chris, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I put that in the question queue because I thought it was funny, but also, remember, we have our own plots of land, like highway. You'll see the booster go past it, and that's our plot of land. Now, that's something where it's kind of very protected because it is our plot of land. It's our property. Whereas where the camera is a production site, that's a very public area. So it's we always laugh. If people are getting in the way of the camera or whatever, it's not great for the view, but most of the time they never know that because it's zoomed in for a start. So they wouldn't even know, so it's a case of just laughing a bit at it. If we started honking at people, it might be a bit rude. So no, we're going to put a horn on that one. But as much as I saw the question coming, I did think it was quite funny.
Yeah, it would definitely not be too great if we started honking. Speaking of people in the shot, we have a message from Chris A here saying, "Sorry I got in your shot." Signed, guy who waved at the cam. Thank you for the support, Chris A.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, I actually like that when that person, it's Chris though, we know it's Chris, a good name by the way, waved at the camera. I thought that was really cool. So don't feel bad at all. That's really cool that you got in touch there.
Yeah, it's great, honestly, connecting with the community out here. There's such a community that comes together at Starbase. And yeah, people will get in shots on occasion, and that's just part of it. When we're out there, we all try to work together and make sure everyone can get the shot, but there's no avoiding being in front of every camera. Like, there are so many cameras out and about here, and it's great to hang out with everyone. We also have Connor G gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you for that support, Connor. Now, 98 Central is wondering if this is the earliest that ship FTS has been installed. I'm not sure. I think I'll throw that one to Alex here.
You know, I don't remember every single flight campaign. I'm trying to, yeah, like it was around this time last week where we saw well, probably a little bit later. Like it was earlier this week when we saw the plague at the Mega Bay 2 entrance with the, with the sort of the one that they use to warn about explosives in the building, right? So that's where we thought, okay, yeah, they have the flight termination system on the ship. I think every single other time, it might have been like also within a week of the launch or so. Like it feels like it's being around that time in previous times, either a few days, like 4 or 5 days, 3 or 4 days, like a week. Might be around the same timeline as we've seen in the past. I will have to check it out again. I don't remember every single campaign because we're now on the 9th flight, right? When it was the 3rd flight or the 4th flight, it was easy to remember some of these dates. But now it's getting more complicated. Unfortunately, I don't have a spreadsheet with every single date and milestone and things like that. I guess I should, but I also don't have the time to do that.
Alex, that doesn't sound very Alexy. It's not like you. I do have a question though, Alex. The old FTS.
Okay.
My brain obviously is very tired, and I may have just completely forgotten. But we always got used to them going to full stack and then warning the community. That doesn't necessarily mean the last time we'll see it full, destack, because they usually destack and pull the pins on the FTS. So are we expecting them to go full stack and then maybe a day before launch they'll destack slightly and do the pin pulls?
I wouldn't be able to say. We know that at least both vehicles have the charges because of the warning placard and everything that they've put on both bays. Like Booster 14 already has the charges as well because we've seen that at Mega Bay 1. Also I think it was like a week or so ago that we saw that, or maybe a couple of weeks. It was a while ago. We saw it. That's the point, right? It has the charges. Whether there's a pin pull needed before flight, I'm not fully sure. We did see only one stacking, at least ahead of the first attempt on Flight 8, but we'll see. And speaking of seeing things, this is a new perspective. What is this?
It looks like chase cam, slightly unlevel.
Kevin is saying this is truck bed cam.
Oh my word.
Okay, I can take that. I was gonna say another thing, but yeah, not appropriate.
So Gage got this camera set in the bed of the truck so we can take a look back as the booster is rolling here throughout the entirety of the roll.
I don't know if Alex wants to say that on stream, but that made me laugh. But
That's what I was thinking. That's why I said this is very inappropriate.
But yeah, it's interesting because you get to see Star Factory. Because I've never been there, I just don't have the perspective of just how big Star Factory is now. And of course, they've taken a bit of it down, but they're going to then build a Mega Bay. And we've seen High Bay come down today, which is clearing way. A lot of people have been quite upset about High Bay coming down, but that's understandable because we all got used to it. But it is for a greater purpose, which is the construction of the Gigabay, which will then link up across the view So we'll lose the view of Mega Bay 2, the opening of doors and the Starlink installations and what have you. But for the greater purpose of the Giga Bay being built there, which is going to increase the cadence possibilities for Starship, which is the better thing in the long run.
And chat, the camera that you're looking at now is from Caesar, so we're getting a great look at the SPMTs here and the booster transporter as it's going to roll by. We're only going to get a better and better view looking up at the booster now.
I'll tell you one thing, though. We're going to get these SPMTs are certainly getting money's worth out of them. I know SpaceX initially hired them. We used to find all kind of different colours and brands on them as they hired the SPMTs. And then they got their own SpaceX branded SPMTs. And you can see why. They obviously had the planning in advance, knowing that they'd require a lot of usage out of these SPMTs. And boy, have they done that.
They sure are. We have some more support I want to thank here. First up from Connor G with a super chat saying, looking forward to launch, have been following SpaceX since Falcon Heavy demo flight and watching and supporting NSF since SN4 testing. Love what you all do and can't wait for the future. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for the support. It is great to have longtime viewers here back in the early hop days. We also have a message from Nibbles saying they better hurry. Only 244,700 seconds till launch. Love y'all's work from New Zealand. Thank you for the support. And that's crazy when you put it in terms of the seconds until launch.
Here we get the roll by of the SPMTs with Booster 14 on top again for those joining, who may be quite used to the amount of rollouts we've been seeing. So they may be thinking, oh, there's another rollout. This is, and should be, all fingers crossed, the rollout of Booster 14-2 to the launch pad, Pad A, at Starbase, for flight. It's the rollout for flight. That's why it makes it far more important than any other rollout we've seen over recent weeks, because they've been to masses, they've been for cryo tests, they've been for static fire tests. And I do like how the SPMTs, they go, well, I'm going to have one axle have a day off. One axle is raised.
Yeah, that's such a cool view, and we've seen some of the times where that's been really useful on... I forget which specific stream. Was it the OLM rollout where we saw them disabling specific axles in order to get it out of the mud?
Oh yes, that was amazing. That was during the rollout of the orbital launch mount for Pad B. And it was a massive rollout. It was the heaviest rollout they've conducted. And once they got to the launch site, they were down to the narrowest of elements of the road remaining, to the point that they had to drive a little bit into the mud. And the mud got them, but it was quite impressive watching how these professionals work, because they got through the mud by raising an axle at a time as they were rolling through it. They obviously know what they're doing, but to watch it live was fascinating, but that was amazing. Right, we've got a question here from FC Acer. There's lots of questions from people who are asking the general thought pattern of what the community is thinking as well. What are the possibilities of Ship 35 to reach SECO based on the double checks and testing? So that is based on what SpaceX put out there on their website. They were giving not all the details, but some details into previous failure points and what they've done to mitigate. Again, within the realms of what they can say. You don't expect any commercial company to go into vast details, because it's export control, it's ITAR, it's proprietary. So it's amazing they actually put anything out. They didn't have to, so it's all very much grateful for it. But You know what? It's going back to what we were talking about earlier before, the positivity level. There's various in the community. I want to ask chat. We'll do a poll for this. Just post in chat. Just post in chat what you think. Do you think they'll get to Seeker? Do you think that the burn of the ship on Flight 9 will go to plan? Doesn't matter what happens with the booster, because obviously you have to get to the first stage of ascent to give the ship a chance to prove its point. But what's the general feeling in chat? What are we all feeling? You can say percentage, you can say 50-50, you can say yes, it'll work. Whatever you think. I'm just going to get a general idea of the community's thought patterns on the potential of Ship 35 reaching Seeker. That's part of the question here. So reaching Seeker, a good burn of its RVACs and its sea level engines. I'm seeing mainly yeses, you know. I'm seeing mainly positivity. And I like that because we want to see this system work, don't we, Alex? This system, we're in a test flight phase. People are seeing Starlinks and they're going, yeah, okay. But the big long-term goal of this rocket is a super heavy launch vehicle that has the capability, with its flight cadence and with its cost being reduced because of what it does, to build a city on Mars. So we should be automatically thinking, regardless of being objective, we should automatically be thinking we want this to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if it gets like 10% of the things that are being promised and everything, like Falcon 9, when it was originally conceived and everything, if you compare to what it is doing right now, it's not doing everything that it was conceived at the beginning. But look how it is, right? Like, it's still doing quite a lot. So if they don't get entirely like 100% of all the things, I think it's still quite a big deal of a rocket. And reusability, we've seen with Falcon 9, you know, both the boosters and the fairings, how very key it is to high cadence, to high flight rate, right? And when you're talking about, you know, needing on-orbit refueling, to be able to go to the moon, to be able to go to Mars, to be able to go anywhere beyond low Earth orbit, if you can imagine, right? With this huge rocket, then being able to rapidly launch and not having to, you know, take weeks or months to refurbish any of these vehicles, then it sort of, you know, it's quite a big deal. I mean, this booster, because I'm gonna go through the reusability stuff now, because like this booster flew. If it flies on Tuesday, it's going to be 131 days turnaround. The first Falcon 9 booster that reflew, it took like a year to reflight, right? Like even when it comes to the first super heavy reuse, they're doing quite a leap in the you know, how fast they're doing these things, right? So later down the line, and this is like the first sort of few boosters that they are reusing on the super heavy line. Later down the line, it might be, you know, even faster, even, you know, down to weeks, then down to days, and then, you know, might just put it back on the launch pad and launch again, right? So yeah, I think if it reaches Seco, that's going to be one of the many steps towards, you know, greatness, I guess, if you want to summarize that.
Well, it is, if you think about it. I remember when Elon did the speech at the press club. I distinctly remember it as press club because I have that video in my head still, even though I got recorded as well. And he was talking about reusability of Falcon 9, and we're like, well, that's ambitious. And I remember getting an email from a space industry manager. I won't name what company, and I won't name who he is, obviously, I wouldn't do that. But it was someone you trust, put it that way, someone you'd think, he knows what he's talking about. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's a very nice gimmick, but they'll be launching microsats because of the payload penalties. And that was the general thought of the industry about reusability at the time. And look what's happened. They've proven it. And now, all these other new companies, and even the Europeans, and I think even the Chinese, Alex, are thinking about reusability.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of arguments to be made, like why do you need so many refuels and everything in orbit? And of course that is down to the, you know, choosing the option of having a fully reusable vehicle. When you have a fully reusable vehicle, you need to recover the second stage, then you cannot do things like, you know, going directly into geostationary orbit, for example, which is something that Falcon 9 can do, but only because, you know, the second stage is expendable. So there are certain flight profiles that will need refueling and everything, but it's like, who cares if it takes you another launch, if the 2 launches or 3 launches that you need for the same kind of mission can get you hundreds of tons to other destinations and still cost very much like the other small rocket launching expendable, right? Like it in turn you get hundreds of tons or dozens of tons to that destination. It's like, it's a no-brainer.
It's great because I do remember the Elon analogy where he said that it's a bit like booking a flight on an airline, taking the aircraft and landing, and then throwing the aircraft away after the one flight. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, does it? And that's what they're trying to apply to rockets. I do love this view, by the way. This is a great view. We see the 2 megabays, we see the booster, and we see the big X sign on it. Is it a car? I can't remember if that's a car park or the offices.
That's the office building. You can see, in fact, some of the offices and everything, all of the stuff that they have there, the different levels. The car park, as you call it, is behind the booster right now on the left hand side.
Ah, there we are. Yeah, I'm trying to get my bearings, but it's a beautiful view because I do prefer daylight rolls. You get to see more details, but at night you do get things like this, which is a nice little bonus, where you see the whole area lit up. Because we go back to people talking about when they're around for SM4. I was actually clearing out some of my hard drive because it always gets full. It always gets full. I'm yet to learn external drives, but it's always full. So I was clearing out some old videos that we have on storage anyway, so it's not like I'm deleting them forever. It's just deleted from my hard drive. And it just shows the production site back in the days where it was just tents. It was just tents and a mid-bay. We're all going, that mid-bay's massive. Look at that mid-bay. It's so impressive. And look at it now. It really has grown. And it's going to grow again with the Gigabay. And then we've got KSC with Roberts Road and Roberts Road's Gigabay. It's exciting times, it really is. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I don't know if you got any more thoughts on that, Alex. But I'm gonna go some more questions. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, sort of where the booster is right now. That's where, in this sort of view that we have right now, that's where the Gigabay will start, and sort of it will go all the way to the right, sort of to the center of the screen, and obviously extend all the way out to the parking garage. And you were talking about the Roberts Road Gigabay, and in fact, as I was writing Starbase Update, I wrote a little bit of about that. There's a few things that are coming up on Monday's Starbase Update episode. I probably shouldn't leak, but there might be a new tower being built. Anyways, there you go.
You should be like me, Alex. Sonia, I mean, you should be more like me, where I never ever leak. Never leak. I'm notorious of being watertight.
Starbase Update.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try and see if I can go into our production channels for that, because that's news to me. I was like, what? Really? Cool. That's exciting. Starbase update, boys and girls. That's something to look forward to. I do have a segue to what we're talking about reusability, but I got fascinated by the view on the live screen of the X logo on the side of the office block. And we've also got chase cam now as well, so that's cool. But there's a reusability segue here from Ethereal Swordsman. Sorry, I butcher names. I'm known for it. Is it bad that I'm more excited for New Glenn Flight 2 than I am for Starship Flight? Also quite excited for the first launch of VC6 and Ariane 64. But the one I'm most hyped for is the Nova's debut. Well, you should be hyped about them all. Let's put it that way. Let's be fairly hyped about them all. But that's a nice, good point about the fact that there's other companies going for reusability. And I like how you brought Nova into that. Alex, do you want to just describe Nova to the people in chat who may be thinking, what rocket's that?
Yeah, it's sort of like at least the booster is like a downsized version of the Super Heavy booster, although it does have landing legs. It's not caught or anything. But it's also stainless steel rings and everything. The first stage also uses methane fuel as well, and the engines are also full flow stage combustion cycle engines like Raptor. Now, the second stage is where the key difference is between, Starship and the Nova rocket, which is the Nova rocket, instead of using, the ceramic heat shield tiles, what it uses is it's essentially sort of like a conical shape kind of thing, very similar to like Neutron, but a little bit, the proportions are a little bit more wider, I guess, on the base. and they used that base as the heat shield, sort of like a capsule, traditional capsule, right? And instead, what it has is like the fairing on top of the tanks. What they use is that heat shield at the bottom. They flow hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, through it to cool it down during re-entry. Now, it also serves another purpose, which is that that heat shield also serves as sort of the heat sink, so to speak, for the engine that runs the second stage. The engine is actually like it's a single power head engine, but you have multiple different thrusters, multiple different combustion chambers that act sort of like a in a vacuum, sort of acts like a simulated aerospike, so to speak, right? It's not a true aerospike because there's no spike, right? But it sort of acts as a virtual one. And so what you have is that heat shield. What it does is it heats up the hydrogen, and it makes it able to run the pumps on the engine, and therefore you have like a double feature there where the heat shield itself can also warm up the hydrogen to run the pumps, and therefore you can keep the engine running, and also it can help again during re-entry. So it's a dual purpose. It's another way of doing a fully reusable rocket. Now, as I said, it's a downsized version, right? Like it's not as big as a Starship. In fully reusable configuration, it can launch only 3 tons to low Earth orbit. But still, hey, fully reusable, right? Like that's gonna be quite cheap if it's fully reusable, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating company, Stoke, because they are trying to do something a little bit different. I do like the way they use the name Aerospike. It is like Alex said, it's not a Aerospike as you may expect. I know that myself and Tim Dodd are big fans of Aerospike engines, so it's kind of something we have definitely a handshake on, which is cool because my history of getting into shuttle, the first vehicle I should say, I got into outside of shuttle was the Venture Star. Now chat, anybody remember the X-33 Venture Star? Put your hands up in chat, because that used an XRS 2200 linear Aerospike engine, and that was going to be a single stage to orbit, fully reusable vehicle. So it was like fascinating, and we may make a mention of that in an upcoming video about point to point. So there's lots of little segues involved there. But yes, I'm seeing yeses in chat. I just feel so happy that I know that I'm not of an age where I'm the only person everyone else goes, I only remember Falcon 9. But no, there's a lot of people in chat who do remember it, so that's really cool. I'll do some more quick thanks, but we have loads of questions in chat. By the way, we always answer questions that are good questions. Simple as that. Doesn't matter if it's a super chat or if it's your first time here and it's your first question you've asked. It doesn't have to be a super chat. We'll answer as many questions as we possibly can because we like to be interactive. SC Robinson Jr., I believe you're the person with the X account who does some very good threads and article level coverage of SpaceX stuff. And if it's the same person, yeah, maybe two different people, but if it's the same person, well done, because I think that's really great use of X. Thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Revhead's gifted 5 Red Team memberships as well too. So that's 10 people who have become members of our community program, membership program, at a very good time, because we have a launch coming up, and you never know. And I'm going to bring this up, Alex, as a segue again. I'm full of segues tonight. It's unbelievable. About Flight 10. When do you think Flight 10 is going to launch? And then I will ask you questions about Booster 15.
You could say you are in a roll. Anyways, so the Flight 10, if Flight 9 is successful, I think there might a very remote chance that it may be like late June or something like that. I bet SpaceX, they have some internal schedules and they're like, you know what? We're going to launch on June 10th or something like that, right? But on the other hand, though, I believe July is probably more likely. If it doesn't go well, though, it depends on when it goes not well, I guess. If it's during re-entry and things like that, well, it will be the first time for a Block 2 going through re-entry, so sure, that might be a possible outcome. Let's put it that way. In such a case, I think maybe August or something like I don't think it will delay things too much. We've seen in the past, right? When they did the Flight 4 with Ship 29 and they saw all of the the flap and everything, they had to change the entire heat shield on Ship 30. That added like another extra month of work on that vehicle. So Yeah, I will say July, August timeframe. I would not be able to put like an exact date to it though. Not yet. Ask me after Flight 9 and we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. Because we do expect that Flight 10 will involve Booster 16 and Ship 36. There's a lot of people asking about Booster 15 because 15 is the other one that's caught and it's basically at the production site hoping for a second flight. And some questions here. Severin asks, do you think they will try to reuse Booster 15 for Flight 10? Again, I think it'll be 16. We'll wait to see what Alex thinks as well. And will they static fire it? At what point do they stop static firing flight-proven boosters between every single mission? So there's several questions there, Alex.
Probably once they have I'm gonna go with the last question. Probably when they have a little bit more data on flight-proven boosters, right? That's sort of what they did with Falcon 9 at the beginning, where, you know, I do compare a lot with Falcon 9, but that is the only program that we've seen SpaceX reusing hardware, right? And so initially they did a lot of static fires. I remember, for example, they took one of the boosters and they put it at McGregor through 10 flight cycles, like 10 firings, full 2.5-minute firings, to be able to demonstrate that the booster can sustain and be able to do all of those 10 flights, essentially. This was way back, like 2016, I'm talking here. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you know, as they fly these first few boosters and everything, and they refly them, then, you know, they just keep doing those static fires before flights to make sure they gather extra data and everything and blah, 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 all that. But later down the line, yeah, I do expect that you know, they're going to be removing all those steps. Now, for Flight 10, maybe Booster 15. I know definitely, like, 17 is probably not going to be reflown flown in general on Flight 10 because it's at the Rocket Garden, and so it will need a lot of work. Right now inside Mega Bay 1, there's 15 and 16, so either could be good to go, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm leaning more on 16 here, but we'll see.
I've seen a lot of I'm going to try and collate the same questions into one question, so forgive me if I don't read your name out. I have seen the questions, but if one person's asked a question that you've all asked, I will ask that one question. I did see several questions about where it is on Highway 4 right now. We can see it's about to make that turn. Now, you'll notice that on previous rolls and previous transports of various things, that it'll get to this corner, this bend here, and there's a road that leads off to, is it like a staging area where they basically park things up near where Nomad used to live? And then they can continue onto the road if they need to on Highway 4, down past our camera looking at right now, towards the launch site. So it's coming across to the bend now, isn't it, where they have a road closure there. They used to have a road closure there for like static fires and things, didn't they? That's the point in the road itself.
You mean like before the intersection with LBJ?
LBJ, that's what I was trying to think of, Alex. Yeah,
that's sort of the last road, you know, at the Boca Chica village, right? And so, you know, after that, the only other way that you have to be able to turn around or anything, it's like you got to go all the way to the launch site. And now they have a roundabout, so you can turn around there. Before, you had to turn around at the beach, which was not good, or try to find some place and disrupt a lot of the traffic. But yeah, sometimes I think they do, very rarely, they do stop here and sort of try to let some of the traffic around. But not too regularly, because it's also, I think, part of their private property on the right-hand side of the road. But yeah, they are approaching the LBJ Boulevard there at the end of the village.
Yeah, people were asking for a live map showing where it is on the road, but unfortunately Ryan Caton is asleep. He is Mr. Maps, so we will not be able to do that. There's something for the... I don't know if we need to do that. We do have a wider view from one of our other plots, which will show like a progress bar. I know we'll probably be showing that at some point during the stream of its path to Pad A. It is like a progress bar. It really does kind of show it along the road, but it has to get onto the straight part, so we're a bit off that yet. I do have a question here. I've had several questions, but I'll ask this one on behalf of everybody. Bob J is asking, are we going to get an update from Elon prior to flight? Yes, we are. Elon has announced that he will be doing an employee update at Starbase on launch day. I think it's 1 p.m. Look, I can't remember, but it's before launch, on launch day itself. And it will be broadcast on X. And yes, we will obviously not be ignoring that, because we'll be in our live stream coverage. We start with the stakeout stream, then we go on to our launch stream. So regardless of what stream it is, Elon talking will definitely be showing it. And he'll be able to discuss it as well and take questions on it. What do you think, Alex? Do you think he'll reveal? Because Elon presentations can be a mix of, we're going to make life multiplanetary, and some actual technical details. Do you think we'll get a mix, or do you think we'll get one or the other?
I mean, in my wish list, there's like 1,000 different items that I want to see revealed in this presentation. But I have like a couple of main things, which is like, what are the upcoming changes to the ships and the boosters that were sort of glossed over on last year's presentation? Like, said, oh, we're gonna have, upgraded boosters and ships, and okay, let's move on, right? But now that they are actually manufacturing them, that we're seeing those version 3 boosters and version 3 ships already manufacturing, I really want to know a little bit more, right, about it. I also want to see footage, like actual video of a Raptor 3 firing, because we have a McGregor live, live stream. But obviously we cannot have a camera on one of the engine test bays. SpaceX, if you're watching, we don't mind putting a camera there. So just, email, calls. But that will be like the main 2 things that I would like to see, right? Anything else, he'll probably talk about some timeline to Mars. They're gonna be trying to launch ships to Mars, uncrewed ships to Mars next year on the window, the 2026 Mars window, and things like that. He'll probably talk about something like that. I also would like to see something a bit more concrete on the timeline to an orbital refilling test and things like that, like the tankers, like what are the main challenges that they need to tackle to get those flights up and going. I also would like to know a little bit more about Florida stuff, if I may say so, because all we know is Launch Complex 39A, sure, but like, what else? Are you going to be using that operationally? Are there going to be 2 launch pads at Sleek 37, right? Or like, I don't know. I would like some, like, but that's like lower down the list. The main 2 items is, of course, design of version 3 of the booster and the ship, a bit more concrete information there, and of course, video of Raptor 3 firings.
Alex, you disappoint me, because there's one burning question everybody wants to know about. Thank you.
I already knew what you were talking about. I read your mind.
Hey, it'd be very timely as well, because we are working on a video and an article to go with it as well. And if Elon says something literally right up to date on point to point, it'd be very good. Now, people might think I'm just going on about point to point because I really like it. It is a very challenging thing that is long term. It's not anything soon. It's something very long term. But it's still on the SpaceX website. SpaceX do update their website quite regularly. And if they had basically cancelled and shelved the plans, you would have thought somebody at SpaceX would have said, let's take it off our website. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a dead thing. It's certainly a very challenging thing. It's certainly not within the timescale that Gwen Shotwell at a TED presentation said would be 5 years away. No, 10 years away, and that was 5 years ago. I don't think it's within 5 years. So I think it's something we'd like an answer to. Maybe, yes, it's still a plan, but it's a long time away. That would make perfect sense. So you never know. I would really like that from Elon. Yes, please, Elon. If you're listening, Elon, can you say something about point to point? Thanks, Elon. I don't think he's listening. Daniel Hogbin gifted 5 team membership. Thank you, Daniel. You're one of our regulars. I see your name all the time. As I do PM Wood, who's gifted a red team membership. And we have a question here. How long for dummy Starlings to be loaded in Ship 35? Any sign the SPMTs are being made ready for ship to move tonight or tomorrow? So we do know that they've loaded the Starlings into Ship 35, 8 of them. We have, I'm going to spam that link again. I'm going to spam it again. I wonder if it's still in my copy and paste. It is. There we go. Sorry, I didn't do anything else into it. There we go. There's a video, a nice little time lapse by Matt, who did a great job to get everything condensed into like 30 seconds of showing the installations to the Starlinks. Rollout, we were hoping, I mean, we were laughing about this in the Raptor side recently, we were hoping they're going to do a double rollout, and we get double rollout of the vehicles, and that'd be an amazing sight, but obviously that's not the case. Alex, do you think they'll roll Ship 35 tomorrow? What's the windows for tomorrow? I'm trying to think.
It's a very similar window. Let me take a look at it, because obviously I don't have all of these windows off the top of my head. That will be a very weird thing. Yeah, so it will be at 9 p.m. Central is the opening. So today's is 10 p.m., so a little bit earlier in the day. 9 p.m. Central is when that window opens for that rollout closure, and then it closes at 8 a.m. So it could go all the way to like very early in the morning on Monday. So we'll see. I really hope it rolls out tomorrow. So that, you know, I can include on Starbase update that we have a full stack. But yeah.
SpaceX do not want us to sleep. These road closures are not helpful. If they gave like a road closure saying, we're going to go for a road closure at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we're like, yeah, great, we can plan for that. If they go like, no, we're going to give a road closure at 9, we'll go for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So you're not going to plan any sleep because we could roll anytime you want. But either way,
I'll just say, as someone down here, definitely having a 2-hour window, a 3-hour window would be so much easier to plan around than sometime between sun going down and sun going up, which is basically what we have here. There's no real planning for it other than keeping an eye on the signs, keeping an eye on the 24/7 streams, and trying to be ready because, yeah, it's sort of just, all right, it looks like it's going to happen at the start of the window and jumping into action, or if it doesn't look like it's happening at the start of the window, there's not really yeah, you can go to bed now. It's you have to wait until it does.
Yeah, you know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the day. This is going to sound really weird to people in chat saying I'm looking forward to this, but bear with me. There's a reason, there's a method to my madness here. I look forward to the day where these rollouts for launch, this is what it is, that's why we're doing a dedicated stream, it's a rollout for launch, is something we'd stick on Starbase Live. Or something on SCL, because there'll be rollouts at KSC. And that'll be a time where we know that they're launching at a cadence that the only real dedicated streams we need to do are launches, because they're launching so many times. We don't do a dedicated stream for a Falcon 9 rollout past a VAB, do we, Alex?
Yeah, no, we don't do that, yeah.
Well, I have a question.
We'll be live like every 3 days or so.
I want to throw a question back to you, because if they're hoping to refly while keeping them on the boosters on the launch pad, could it get to the point where they're reflying them so much that the rollouts of boosters are only the new ones and they become special again after they've sort of reached that crater point?
That's big time future. I mean, that is a case of where there's no need for a rollout. It's just going to land on a pad. It's going to get caught by the chopsticks. It's going to get refueled. It's going to send it back off again. That is the plan, though. That is part of the roadmap. That is what they're, even from the start. I mean, Alex, we were on the Raptor side talking about the namings, the ITs and the BFRs and the MCTs, weren't we? That was the initial video, the release video. Was it at the I forget the conference. It was the one in, like, I think it was in South America, where Elon got strange questions. That's right, yeah. Elon got some really strange questions from the audience that day. But that's the first time we saw the video of it, and it was like completely different to what it is now. But it was basically launching, coming back down, landing on the launch site, getting refueled, getting a new ship, and launching again. That's what it was from the start, the roadmap. Back
then, people go really crazy about landing on chopsticks. Back then, they were trying to, land it on the launch mount, or like they had plans for landing right back on the launch mount. No chopsticks or anything. What do you mean, the SPMTs?
I'm just because I don't have the audio coming through my ears, so forgive me if I start talking over loud SPMT noises. But yeah, this is the cool part. In fact, I'm starting to hear a bit of it now myself, actually, to be fair.
Somebody asking in chat if we're going to have a Raptor set on Tuesday. That's going to be the stakeout stream.
Yeah. But this is cool. It's actually, I don't know if it's just me at 5 o'clock in the morning being a bit wacky, but it seems like it's going quite fast. It seems like it's going faster than normal. Chat, help me out. Am I just going completely bonkers? Or does this seem a little bit faster than normal? To me, it does. Maybe I've just got slightly obsessed with the rollout of the Orbital Launch Mount 2 to Pad B. It does look faster, says Diva. Hang on, I'm going to see if I'm getting more people backing me up.
I want to say the tracking on the right-hand camera there, it almost looks like it's not even moving.
Yeah.
Who's tracking that? I need to know.
It's very smooth tracking whoever's doing that. Yeah, I'm talking a little bit less, which is unlikely, because I know you all love the brrr of the SPMTs. I should be doing a Bandicam clip by now, Alex. I'm lacking on my Bandicam clips today, I tell you. I'll tell you what I'll do. While we're listening to SPMT noises, which will soon decrease a little bit because I can see it's moving away from the camera, I will thank Nibbles for 5 gifted Red Team memberships. Thank you, Nibbles. Tammy also says, my husband helped build the SpaceX buildings. He put in the fire suppression system. Ooh. Tammy, can you get your husband on a live stream with us? Because we'd love to ask questions about the internals. No, I don't think he'd be allowed, but that's awesome. That is really cool. Turtle Santry. Thank you, Chris B, for joining the chat. Always good to hear you there. And to Alex for all the technical details, and for D for burning the bacon. D, have you been burning bacon?
They're referencing a stream that was members only and almost a year ago at this point. I feel like I need a redemption so that burning bacon and or microwave bacon is not my legacy to the Membies. Thank you though, Turtle Sanctuary.
There's 2 important updates I need to give everybody. One, the SPMTs are stopped to give us a nice view. Thank you very much, SPMT operators. Although I've got a funny feeling it's not because of that, it's because of something else. So we'll keep a very close eye on this, because it's not unheard of. They've had many times where they've stopped, but sometimes it's because a wheel needs replacing, and that takes a long time to do. So we'll keep a very close eye on it, why it stopped. It could be a power unit. They've had power units problems. I know they've had power units where they've been playing up a little bit on previous rollouts, so we'll see if it's that. And the second thing, go on, Alex, because my other part was really silly.
The SPMT operator just running out to the road. I saw somebody like running off from the left-hand side of the screen up to the booster.
Yeah.
And now we're rolling again.
We're rolling again. There we go. We're rolling again. It's okay. False alarm. We're fine. They were just stopping to give us a better view of the voice. Thank you very much, SPMT operators. Yeah, the second part was really unimportant, but I do want to ask D. I don't remember you burning bacon. I remember that member stream. I only heard good things about the bacon. What?
Yeah, I feel like parts of it were not quite fully cooked. Other parts of it were definitely burnt, but I was focused on slow-mo, and so I think Jack was fully focused on the bacon. Jack's bacon definitely turned out better that stream, but I have excuses.
This is like, we need to stop talking about boosters and ships and Starship and cities on Mars and just cover the fact that I thought maybe it might be an American thing, because as far as at least Yorkshire people, all my friends go, if the bacon's not cremated, it's not edible.
I don't know. There's a long battle to be fought as far as crispy bacon, or in my opinion, there's a very fine line between like undercooked, like too chewy, and fully crispy just turns to crumbs as you bite down on it. There's a fine line there, but I don't agree with it turning to basically char. That's for sure.
Yes. Techran, let's get back on topic, because my fault, I digress. Techran, to launch and catch on a regular basis, they'll need a launch site waiting area for ships and boosters, right? You know what, Alex? I've always wondered about this. Payload integration bays and things like that. Do you think that we'll start seeing some, like, HIFs at the launch sites? Maybe 39A?
Well, at least for the ships, they probably have, especially for the cargo and cruise ships, they probably have some dedicated buildings. For the tankers, though, those can probably just be refueled and just, good to go. Like, just put it back on the booster and launch them. Because if you are shooting for no hands-on reusability or something like that, then it will be pretty much just like that for the tankers, because they don't have any cargo or anything, or like crew or anything like that. But those that do have cargo and crew, I can imagine that in between flights they're going to be changed out and they're going to be sent to some processing facility or something like that.
Right, I've got a question for you, Alex. I've just remembered this as I was talking about it. Whatever happened to was it a VIF or I think it was a VIF at the back of 39A for Falcon for the USS Air Force mission contracts? What happened to that?
Yeah, it's just that they don't need it right now. Like that was proposed in 2020 on an environmental assessment, and it's part of their contract with the US Space Force. And so they have that plan in place. Whenever it's needed, they'll build it, right? Like I take it that way, because right now they have not needed for any mission, and as far as I know, the missions that they've been awarded by the US Space Force don't seem to need any of these vertical integration capabilities so far. So and so I wouldn't, if I were SpaceX, of course. SpaceX has done this in the past, though, where they've built something and they've not used it for a long while. But at least I will say that if they can avoid it, they'll probably not build this kind of capability until it's actually a little bit closer from being needed. I'm going to put the example of routing methane through the second stage of the Falcon 9 up into the payload fairing, for example, or liquid oxygen for that matter, for the intuitive machines lander, right? Most of those commodities, most of the liquid oxygen and liquid methane commodities that are used for that were installed like within a year of the first mission. And they had that launch contract several years before that, but they only built it essentially a year beforehand, because why build it like 4 or 5 years and have it, I don't know, collecting dust for 3 or 4 years? Doesn't seem doesn't make sense.
I like this view, by the way. This view has got a close-up of where you'll see the booster quick disconnect attached to the booster, and that is a cool thing. And that is a real nice close-up of it as Booster 14 continues that. However, if you're just joining us, this is the rollout of Booster 14-2. We're calling it 2 because that's what they do with Falcon 9s, so don't hate us for it. We can call it Booster 14, you're fine. But it's rolling out to launch. It'll be put onto the orbital launch mount, and then Ship 35 will roll out, and we'll go to full stack. Then everyone will get very excited, as they should do, ahead of a launch potentially on Tuesday. That's where we stand right now. But I've got a wider question, and this involves chat as well. So chat, join in. We like to be interactive. I love being interactive. I always asking chat questions. But I will give it to Alex first, because it is a burning question. It says, when do you think Starship will become an operational rocket?
Oh, see, with this is quite an interesting question, because it depends on who you ask. And the whole reason for this is because depending on who you ask, well, if you're asking a hater, they're gonna be keeping, they're gonna push the goalpost all the way down. I've seen this, for example, with people that don't like Blue Origin. They've launched already to orbit, and people still keep complaining about them. And they're like, "Oh, they don't fly anything. They failed," and things like that. And it's like, but they actually launched into orbit finally, right? All of these criticism about not launching into orbit, and now with Starship, you can see a lot of the haters saying, "Oh, it's not reached orbit," and things like that. It's like, well, they haven't targeted orbit. That's why it hasn't reached orbit. Probably if they target it, maybe they will have reached orbit a lot sooner, right? And same deal, like if they have pushed for other priorities way earlier in the program, like if they had launched, for example, entirely expendable with the earlier Raptors and things like that, not pushing the propulsion systems and things like that, then of course they will have reached orbit a lot sooner. They will have deployed payloads a lot sooner. But that was not the goal, right? And so all of this to say, when it become operational, it depends on what is your own definition. I think it is operational once it starts, launching regularly payloads into orbit. And by payloads, I mean, Starlink satellites can count as payloads in my book. There are some people out there are like, oh no, it needs to be a proper satellite for it to be payload because Starlink is internal. Blah, blah, blah. Like, kind of depends on who you ask. And so my own sort of, a way of putting the line there in the sand is that, Starlink satellites count as payload. If they start launching payloads, so be it. To orbit. Let me be clear. This launch is not operational on my book, and I still think some of these operational launches will still be partially tests, but I digress.
Yeah, by that notion, I just saw it in chat as well. I was thinking the same thing. Do we class SLS as operational? It was a test flight, but it was orbital, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it went all the way to the moon, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. so it's so weird because it's been a while since SLS launched. Bless it. We're going to get Artemis 2 hopefully next year. You never know. But yeah, it's a difference between test flights where SLS test flight was a real full-up mission. It really was. So it's an intriguing thing about when you class a vehicle as operational, and the plan is to put a crew on the next one. That is a proof of what Flight 1 was about. Right, I tell you what. This is a late night, even for the Americans now. It's late like roll. But we've got so much support. I wasn't going to speedrun this, but I'm making sure I read out everyone's names because it really is awesome. Apocalypse Cow, regular. Danger Moo, gifted 5 rated memberships. Tammy, I do think I still have photos of it being built. Literally did a super chat to back up your previous super chat with a question saying that your husband, was involved with the fire suppression system inside the offices of SpaceX. Wow, amazing, right? Thank you, Tammy. Flippers79 Flips Diaz, the regular gifted Red Team membership. Mr. Gamer, Cheesecake Fund. Hang on, that's a Cheesecake Fund? My word. Daniel Hogbin, D and Jack, Excellent Adventures Member Stream Part 3, ? Also for Chris B to Starbase Fund. Well, no, you don't have to follow me to Starbase, but I am interested in the member stream. D, are we thinking about another member stream involving cooking, maybe?
Well, the next one is, I'll just say, I'm not going to give a date or anything, but the next Excellent Adventure is planned, and it is perhaps sooner than you might think. So stay tuned, and members, get ready.
Intriguing. By the way, I did get a lot of grief in chat for my observation of how bacon should be cooked, as in created, and I did discuss several Americans, so maybe it is an American thing that you can burn it, and that's classed as bad. Whereas me, I was thinking, look, completely fine to me. Anyway, Turtle Sanctuary, crispy bacon, oh my word. How dare you, D. Ben Bayer, that's hard to say at 5 o'clock in the morning, became a Padrat member, and Jester Tiger, all this talk of cargo ships, how long till we see portal windows on the Starship, the crewed version, of course? When are we going to start seeing a ship, Alex, which looks like it's the next iteration along towards something we've seen in SpaceX videos with big windows?
Ooh, I think it's going to be a while. I think, starships with crew all the way from the ground up. Well, there's also the HLS. I guess that one is also going to have the windows. It's not going to be the same windows, but it's going to probably have some windows. Other than that, I think it's going to be a while, minimum 5 years, if not more. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit more skeptical about crew on Starship. I think there's going to be a lot of testing needed and test flights and whatever. But yeah.
Oh, we're getting a split screen. Split screen fun. This is where we can see Booster 14 now with the towers of the pads in sight. They're still a way away.
You can see them through the payload bay door. Look at that, the different stacks.
Yeah, I was going to say on the left-hand side, that's Ship 35. That will be joining Booster 14 to hopefully a day or so. But you can see now through the PES dispenser slot payload area of the ship you can actually see the installed Starlink sims inside, which is very cool. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well with Ship 35's flight. It goes through its burn, gets the sea cut, and we start seeing these Starlink sims plopping out. And I am using that word, plopping out. There we go. I probably shouldn't use that word, but I just did, and I've just repeated it. There we go. That's great. Right, questions. This is another one that gets asked a lot. This is from Tiger Girl 2012, who asks, when do you think they're going to catch the ship? Which flight will they catch the ship? Now, technically, you can get hopeful about Flight 10, but is it too soon, Alex?
Back when we didn't have Flight 7 and Flight 8, right? It seemed like very, very common sense to say, they're going to be doing one re-entry and then do the catch afterwards. I feel like we may see 2 splashdowns of Block 2 at the very least. So like Ship 35 and Ship 36. And then maybe Ship 37 will be the first one to be caught. So like Flight 11, essentially. But we'll see, As I always say, prove me wrong, SpaceX. I wouldn't mind having a catch earlier. Oh no, please don't catch earlier. Oh no, I'm gonna see an exciting thing earlier than I expect. No, please don't do that.
I'm gonna leak. I've gone mad with power, Alex. I've gone mad with power. I'm gonna leak by saying that if they do say Flight 10 is a ship catch, we have the patch design ready to go. Because we were planning for a ship catch to come up before everything went wrong with Block 2. And that is obviously going to be something we can bring up as the design. What? Go on, Alex.
We'll talk about the stream. We may have to change it, though. We'll talk.
But yes, I'm very excited about that one, should it be used on upcoming things. So not much of a leak. It's not like I've turned my OBS on and started showing you patches. But
is there leaking happen over here?
No
What's going on?
God. No leaking.
I hear leaking.
No. You see, you've got the power to mute me. So there you go.
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare.
Well,
I like my job.
I started a stream off by having myself muted. I've never done that before. I'm usually the person in the back channel who goes, "You're muted. Stop muting your microphone." But for the first time ever, I came on talking and there was nothing coming through, and it was because it wasn't my microphone. My microphone is always unmuted. That's why I never am muted. But the actual system we use was muted automatically, which was weird. Anyway, moving quickly.
It is like 4 o'clock in the morning there, isn't it, Chris?
No, it's now 5:30 in the morning.
So I think you get a pass. It's okay.
Yeah. You know what? I enjoy doing commentary streams, especially with Alex, because Alex can give a really long answer as well. That really helps because it gives me a chance to recover between questions. But I'm surprisingly still alive. You may find Kevin, you may hear like a thump against the microphone. That's just me collapsing at some point. But yes, I'm hoping to get us to the pad, and then I will collapse into bed. But yes, and Alex, even worse for you. You're an hour ahead. You're 6:30 in the morning, aren't you?
Yeah, here is 6:30. I still have a few other things to do before I go to sleep, so it's gonna be. But hey, it's gonna be a very nice early morning here. I kind of like the cold early mornings. Once summer hits, I'm a bit of a night owl.
There you go. But the cool thing is we're getting some really good questions as well. Nice little segue. I'm not even lying as well. We actually get some really good questions, so that's keeping me very active mentally as well. One from Ronnie Taylor, who asked, do you think they will try and retrieve the engines from Booster 14? Now, I'm thinking no, because it's going to be a very hard and quite explosive splashdown, the way they're portraying the return of Booster 14. But they could still fish them out, I suppose. But is there any value, Alex, in what will be a hard splashdown to try and recover the engines with, say, one of those ships where they send like a crane down to pick them up?
Maybe if they think it's worth enough, maybe we'll see some of these crews going out to the waters and everything, and being able to gather some of that. I don't know. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on the marine assets. We'll have our own boat guy, Gavin, looking at all of that.
Very good. A completely off-topic question from Chris Nett, but he gives me a chance to mention Roundball. Chris B, have you ever been to Dudley? As an American, I went there in 2009 on holiday. That is in Birmingham, and I've not been to Dudley ever in my life, but I've been to Walsall, which is next door, because York won there in the football. There we go. Moving quickly on. Pinchy asks, is that a SpaceX camera drone flying around, or am I seeing things? Yes, it is a drone, and yes, it is a SpaceX drone. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because we did have a very, very cool drone shot from Jerry during the rollout of Ship 35 to masses for its third cycle of testing, which was, something undesirable from the test standpoint, but it was something interesting because it gives the opportunity for Jerry being out there to fly a drone in the non-TFR areas, which are very much away from the production site, and why we could do it for the masses roll because it was towards that direction. But anything from the production site to the launch site, you aren't allowed to fly a drone, but SpaceX can. So it's a SpaceX drone. If you ever see a drone in this kind of rollout, it's a SpaceX drone. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex, do you even know the answer to this? I don't have a clue. Starship Booster says, how long do you think it'll take them to build the Gigabay?
Ooh, it's gonna take a while. Even SpaceX themselves, they're saying late 2026. So this is not me being pessimistic or anything. I'm quoting SpaceX here. They say late 2026. So we're talking, a year and a half from now at the very least for it to become operational. I still think that's probably a little bit too optimistic. We're talking about a really huge building, and they have not started foundation work as far as I know. There we go. That's the aerial footage from Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, as you mentioned, that's when they move from the production site to masses, because there's a gap between a temporary flight restriction that exists over masses, and then there's another one over the launch site that extends a little bit into the production site. In between, there's a gap, and so that's where we flew this drone, of course. And but yeah, if it is on the way to the launch site, you cannot fly a drone because there's a temporary flight restriction there.
Peter Calkins asks a future thinking question here. With Booster 14.2 being expanded, do you think Booster 15.2 will meet the same end, given that SpaceX has begun stacking the first V3 booster? So there was a question we were talking about earlier, but there's a little tail end to that question that gives us an out to talk about something future-wise, which is the next iteration of the boosters. Maybe, Alex, if you want to talk about what we've seen as far as future boosters and ships at Starbase, because I've seen parts for ships in the 40s now.
Yeah, so it looks like at least we might get a... So here's the thing. We've seen a label, or Jack has seen a label on one of the barrel sections at the Star Factory that said S39.1. So it was a barrel section for a test tank. When they have the 0.1, 0.2, whatever, those are test tanks. As opposite to the, as opposed to the dash, which means the reuse, right? As this one is B14-1-2, and so that means there's a test tank being built in the Star Factory that is based on probably on the version 3 of the ship, and it has the naming of 39. So we think that 39 is therefore the first version 3 ship. As for what kind of changes it'll have, we have no idea. We don't think it's gonna be like the really long ship that we've seen some of the, renders that we saw from SpaceX last year about Block 3. Me and many other people think that it's just gonna be a moderate stretch, probably just of the payload section, so the tankage might remain the same. We'll see though, once the barrel sections start rolling out and whatnot. And then there's Booster 18. Booster 18, we've already seen at least 3 different barrel sections, the common dome and the 2 barrel sections that go right below it. And there are already a few changes. It seems like it's going to be about maybe a ring and a half maybe taller. But one of the barrel sections that we're really looking forward to is the forward dome. That forward dome with the integrated hot staging interface, that's going to be quite a thing to see. So I'm really hoping we see at least some test tank though beforehand of like the forward dome and everything. We'll see. But I'm really excited to see some of that.
Yep. Speaking of the upcoming launch with Flight 9, Teddy West asked a question which a number of people have asked, but again, I'm trying to collate all the questions into one so that you all get the answer you are requiring. Asking, what is the weather going to be like on Tuesday in Boca Chica? Now, I did see somebody see that question in chat and answer it with the weather channel. JS Web Music says the weather channel is calling for sunny and windy with a high of 89 degrees. Have we seen any issues with the forecast, Alex? Especially the winds, because I know wind constraints come into play.
You know, that would be an amazing question for Adam. You know, our own weather friend, I guess. But yeah, I'm not too into sort of the weather conditions for Tuesday. It does seem like there might be a little bit of a more cloud cover than for example earlier in the day and things like that. We'll see though what happens in terms of visibility. I really want clear skies and all that, because especially if we try to get that booster splashdown or hard splashdown, as SpaceX says, we really want to see it far away, right? Like being able to capture it from the hotel and things like that, and have all of our cameras trained on that. And if there's a lot of clouds, that's gonna ruin our views, not just of the launch, but also, you know, trying to get that far away shot of the booster blowing up. Let's be honest, that would be cool to see. So
everyone's getting very excited about that. I'm like sad because, you know, I would in a perfect world I would like it to splash down very gently, go onto its side, and then paddle back to shore with its grid fins. But that's just me. That is just me. Yes, it's very silly, I know, but I get very attached. I'm a terrible hoarder. I don't like throwing things away. That's where it's coming from, probably. But yeah,
Chris,
yes, Dee.
I think that's like a really good point, but my counterpoint to that is this is something where we can see an event that's really unique, which is like an explosion of this potential size, and feel good about it throughout. Knowing that they're going for that in advance, it's like, okay, there's no mix of sadness because they wanted something more. We can see that, and we can be happy at the end if they get to that point, you know?
especially if they reach that point.
I've still got my original Xbox. The original Xbox, not the Xbox fancy one that's come out. I've still got the original one. I'm not throwing it away. I'm a terrible hoarder. So yeah, I'm not built for that, unfortunately. But anyway, I did get distracted in chat from Gamer Fun Time, who knows how to push my buttons. Leeds United's chances for the Premier League, Chris. Unless they spend 300 million on new players, they're going straight back down. There we go. Moving quickly on. Mr. Gamer IO. This is like Booster 40. Booster 40. Blue Origin Booster. Oh dear, my brain's going, Kevin. I won't last much longer. This is like Blue Origin's booster losing control on the first flight versus Falcon 9 crew escape test having the booster blow up. Can you get the references there, Alex? Because my brain's gone. That's it. I'm gone. I got the Leeds United question. I think that's what did it.
I don't get what's this about. I think this was done when we were talking about the description of the operational flights for Starship, and maybe comparing the first flight of, the New Glenn versus Falcon 9. I mean, that crew escape test, I think it was like sort of around the 60th flight of Falcon 9 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a test flight, I guess, and it was still like the 60-something flight. Now I want to know. I'm gonna take a look.
I suppose. I mean, the fun thing is, I didn't get a reference to the Crew 9 escape until I realised that's, of course, when it was a great test. It was a great mission that went well. But of course, once the crew capsule escaped, as it was designed to do on that test, the booster itself went boom, and boom, straight away. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That was a really impressive test. That was very interesting to watch that one being tested. There you go.
82nd launch of Falcon 9.
Yes, that's right. Oh, D. Connor G. Love the driving stream. Can't wait.
Oh, well,
the demand.
We definitely can't wait to hang out. Those are very fun, very informal hangout streams, and they tend to last quite a long time.
Indeed. I'm determined to get through to the end of the stream, even though my brain is going. And luckily, I've just noticed the end road work sign, which is a good sign that it's getting very close to the launch site. So we're getting there. We're getting very closer. We're getting very close. You see what I mean? Now I'm going to start talking nonsense. We're getting closer.
Did the sign say end brain work for both of us?
It might as well for me. Oh, dearie me. I'm getting old, boys and girls. I'm getting old. Redburn gifted 5 Red Team membership. We had so much support on this stream. We get support on all our streams, even Raptor sides and everything like that, even when we're not even talking. It really means the world. Seriously, I'm going to go on an emotional off-topic rant here. Rant, not even a rant. It's a thank you. I started NSF in 2005. That's why I'm old. 20 years ago, it was meant to be a specialist site just for shuttle. I nearly called it shuttlespaceflight.com. It's a true story. I nearly called it shuttlespaceflight.com because we're going to cover the space shuttle. Only going to cover the space shuttle. And it's going to be a very specialised audience. We knew we had some NASA people, we had some shuttle people, we had some shuttle fans. We thought 20, 30 people a day maybe be interested in this, but it's a nice little hobby and it'd be cool to do. And then look what we've become now through various reasons and a lot of good luck. But the reason we've got to this stage is because even in the early days, because we started L2 1 year into the site, 2006, that was our first way of supporting us. And it still exists to this day and is a monster now. L2 is a monster. So if you like your fire hose attached to your face, join L2 because it's just like that. It really is. It's like constant information and data and photos and videos. It's because of our community. It's the support we get is incredible. And I've been on bigger streams of different subject matters and I never see that top column with the super chats going crazy. I never see it. And they're much bigger channels. And you're thinking, wow, you know, there's a channel called Scammer Payback. Brilliant channel, which is a great thing where they go after scammers and basically pretend to be different people. And they've got millions and millions of subscribers. And they get super chats, but they don't get anything close to what we get. And they're doing a service. I mean, Pierogi does an amazing work with his channel. And they do a service. So I am always blown away by the support we get. Right, I rambled, but I thought it was important to just get off my chest because I always want to make sure people understand that we really appreciate the support we get. Redburn 573. I'm just amazed it started mumbling at that point. Gifted 5 Red Team membership. See what I'm talking about? A Ethereal Swordsman, Falcon, a Starship and Falcon, a very elongated rocket. Where's Sawyer when you need him? There we go. We got a pun. And John Malkin, do you think launching and catching human space flight starships and ships will be at Kennedy? Could there be a dedicated catch tower at Kennedy? Have a special systems for cruise ships? Right, so Alex, while we're watching the SPMTs roll past our trailer camera, and we get a real nice close up, and we get to see Della booties on, aren't they?
Yeah, I saw they have the booties.
Oh. I'm going to just pause for a second and watch this because this is always cool. This is a very close part. Yeah, it's zoomed in a little bit. Obviously, it's not like it's about to smash or anything like that. It's off the path, but it's always impressive. This is such a big vehicle. Oh, look at that! These are some great views here.
Those are really loud. SPMTs.
Yeah. I'm pausing. I don't mind. I'm going to pause because this is cool. No one wants to hear a Yorkshireman rambling while we've got the great tones of the SPMTs going by.
SpaceX fan.
Alex, you beat me to it. I was just going to say there's a SpaceX logo on the van.
Does it carry a Starlink on top? I think it does. Look at that. The bump on the top. I think.
Oh yeah,
it
does. Yeah. Will we see the NSF van? Because they were following it, weren't they? Oh, there's a light truck. That makes sense. I'm thinking, I wonder how there's security, so he's still on the SpaceX convoy. But not far beyond that might be the NSF truck. Oh, that's cool. He's got flashy lights down the side. Sorry, I love flashy lights. Yeah, we might see the NSF truck. While we're waiting for the NSF truck, which may be coming in view at some point, we were talking about 39A, weren't we, Alex? I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about 39A. Is that likely because it's KSC and it's 39A? It's a real famous historic launch complex. Do you think that will become the primary area for the crew launch, say HLS and things like that? And will they have a catch tower?
I think there's a good chance that it does launch humans. Such as such a historic pad, right? Like launching Apollo 11 all the way to the moon and things like that. Many of the shuttle flights as well. The first flight of Crew Dragon, the first flight of Falcon Heavy. Like it does have a lot of heritage. I feel like, there's a good chance that they do fly humans from there. I don't think it's going to be the only place though. Everybody already understands that they have intentions to build lots of launch pads for Starship. As for a catch, well, they do intend in the future to have a catch tower at 39A, mostly for the flexibility of their operations, right? Because if you have a booster and a ship, you cannot catch both from the same tower at the same time. Like the booster cannot be on the OLM while you're catching the ship and things like that. Like it will be a lot complicated to do all that. So if you have a second tower, that kind of helps the flexibility and the operations and whatnot. Or like while you're catching a ship, for example, on the catch tower, you can launch a full stack from the launch tower and things like that. So, yeah.
Now, anybody who knows me
we'll
knows
probably see something like that.
Anybody who knows me knows I love launch sites. I really do like launch sites. I'm a big fan of launch sites, and what a surprise! I'm into rockets as well. Who'd have thought? But the fun thing about Starship is we get very excited about the future, and we know some of the future plan already, and we know the potential future paths they may have for Starship. So I'm going to go through them because I like going through them because I think it's fun. We've got Starbase, we've got Pad A and Pad B. As you know, we can see them. We know we've got 39A because the tower's built. We know they're going to do 37 as well because they've revealed that. It was always going to be a part of a plan. We thought it's either Slick 50 or 37, and they've revealed 37 is what they're taking over from ULA. ULA's lease ended at the end of the year, end of this previous year. But there's potential of Slick 6 of Vandenberg, which SpaceX has taken. It's a lease, they've taken it. And the plan is for Falcons, but they may do a Starship pad there. It's a very large area, could easily do that. They also had a plan, which is shelved right now, but it's an official plan because they did an environmental study with NASA, and NASA put the press release out, so we know it's official, for LC-49. And our friends at KSC, of whom we've got many, said that the plan was for 3 sets of 2 towers, 6 towers at LC-49. Now, it is shelved because the environmental report took too long for SpaceX's liking, so they shelved it until a later date. But if that plan comes into fruition, Alex, do you think it will be 3 launch towers and 3 catch towers, or do you think it'll be 6 launch towers?
Oh dear. I'm mostly sure it was probably going to be something like launch tower and catch tower. I've always said that just building only a catch tower by itself, it seems very weird and probably doesn't make sense. But if you combine that with a launch tower, a launch and catch tower, so you can catch both towers, and so that gives you flexibility again. Like you can have a full stack on the launch and catch tower while you have maybe a ship coming from orbit and it's about to land on the catch only tower. Like you can have that flexibility here. And so I do feel like when you heard all that, it was probably going to be like 3 pairs of 2 towers, like one launch and catch tower and then a catch only tower. I do think though that if you're going to build a catch tower, just put an OLM under that and just, build a launch and catch tower, but I digress.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'm like, it seems a bit. It's not very SpaceXy to have like a launch tower and a catch tower. The kind of company you'd expect them to come up with a plan where they could integrate the same thing into one tower. But I agree. So I think maybe we'll see the plans change. Everything's been changing. Let's face it. When they built the Pad A at Starbase, who'd have thought that they'd completely say, well, hang on a minute, it's up to the launch mount system. First of all, we need to put an upside down shower head inside it because we're on a concrete tornado after Flight 1. So they changed that again. Then they've changed the orbital launch mount design completely for Pad B, and that's what will happen at Pad A. So there's lots of changes that always happen on the fly with SpaceX, so it's one to keep an eye on. Right, we're nearly at the pad. Well, we're not really at the pad, we're at the launch site. So I'm going to speed run and make sure we answer as many questions as possible, because you're all being very good by doing the NASASpaceflight before you question. So the least I can do is make sure we try and answer as many as possible. Now, if we've missed it, forgive me, we get lots and lots of questions, and it may be a case of where someone else has asked the same question as well, and that was the first one we answered and we covered bases with it. But I will try and get through as many of these as we can, such as this one. This covers several people asking, when is Ship 35's rollout? So we're thinking tomorrow, Alex?
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow. Max, can you move a little bit to the left? Like block the two lights of the SPMT? Yeah, that's Max, by the way. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, we hope that it is tomorrow.
Very good. And I just realised that we have a back channel, which I'd paused on the bacon question, and I thought, well, no one's talking in there. It's like no one's posted anything in the back channel for like an hour. And I realised it hadn't scrolled down. Thank you, Discord. So now I'm catching up. So forgive me, Kevin and the crew, if I've completely missed some very important things to bring up, because I didn't realise my cursor had not scrolled down. There we go. Moving quickly on. This is something I want to ask about, because I don't know how it works. But Sharpie says, can you please make captions enabled so that deaf people can, like me, will read what you're all saying? Is that possible for a live stream? I don't know.
That sounds like a Kevin question, because he's the one that usually schedules his streams.
Kevin,
maybe.
I don't want to force you on the microphone. Maybe you can post in the back channel. If not, and I can answer it that way. But I don't know. I know we do it for like long videos and whatever we publish and like create in advance. But I don't know if YouTube can do it for a live stream.
What were you asking?
Can captions be enabled during a live stream commentary?
So yes, but there's a catch to that. We have to delay the stream by 40 seconds for captions to be on the live stream. And we don't want to do that. We want to provide the least amount of latency as we possibly can. So we go with what's essentially 4 to 5 seconds of latency from what is happening at Starbase to what you're seeing on the stream. If we enable closed captions, it's about 40-second delay.
There we go. Well, that answers the question, Chappie. It's certainly something I was not going to avoid, because you'd expect, if like thinking, well, we don't want to do that, we'd avoid a question. No, we'll always answer questions. And of course, yes, Goyle mentioned the thing. Can you imagine some of the captions would say with a Yorkshire accent? You're probably like, blah, 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 blah. And captions, I'm not saying that. It's going, well, it's your accent.
I will say, I actually just thought of something, and I'm not trying to sell memberships right now. Although, if you want a membership, get one, because there's a lot of cool things coming. Our multi-view, our members multi-view, which usually has the commentary on it, is delayed that 40 seconds because it's in 4K. So that would have captions. I just realized that.
Oh. Well, Sharpie, we're always thinking, we're always trying to improve, we're always looking at things we can do. We never rest on our laurels. So that question's a valid question, and we will evaluate potential ideas, such as the member stream, because that has the caveat of rectifying the issue of not delaying the stream by 40 seconds, which would make it not not fully live, shall we say. So that's something we'll look into. Thank you for your question, because it's important we try and answer as many as we can about technical questions about the stream, not just the rockets. Booster9 asks, why is there no catch on Flight 9? And where is Booster 14? Where is Booster 12? So Alex, let's go over the reasons of why they've decided not to go for a catch with Booster 14 too.
It's like on some of the previous questions. I'm gonna do the last because it's easier. It's at the Rocket Garden. There you go. And now with a no catch. So mostly because SpaceX wants to do a lot of experiments on this flight with this used booster. And so because they want to do a lot of experiments, they don't want to risk the launch hardware that they have at the launch pad. So for example, they're doing a higher angle of attack during the reentry. That means flying a little bit steeper and flying like more horizontally to the ground, trying to catch more of that glide of the booster and trying to have a lower reentry speed and things like that, like being able to fly for longer. So that reduces the amount of propellant that you need for the landing burn. Then the landing burn itself is going to be they're going to be disabling one of the 3 center engines, right, on the booster. So it's going to be only 12 engines at the beginning. And then as they down select, they're going to be using one of the center engines, one of those 10 engines in the middle ring. They're going to be using one of those as sort of compensating for the one that they've disabled in the center 3. And at the very end of the burn, they're going to be down selecting to 2 for the sort of simulated catch. And so all of that risky maneuver and risky blending burn profile, they don't want to do that near the launch pad, because if it goes bad, well, you've got a lot of things to repair, right? So they're going to be doing out there in the Gulf, and so, best to go the safe way. It's going to be expended, but it's not going to be, in vain or anything like that. There's going to be a lot of really interesting data that they're going to be gathering out of it.
Indeed, we are now. Oh, the light truck is moving, so maybe we're going to see the booster move as well. But we are now at the launch site, and that is Max. You can see Max with the NSF merch on, which
wow, NSF merch.
Yeah, NSF merch. Max is wearing it as well. Awesome. But it's at the launch site now, but it's still on Highway 4. You can see photographers getting some nice photographs, some nice snaps for their collection. But soon it will roll into the entrance to the launch site for its arrival at Pad A. We will be coming to the end of the stream for that point there, but we've got a little merch plug there because Max is wearing it, but you can get your merch. I will always say, I was talking about how much support we get with Super Chats, and I'll quickly thank some people. I don't want to make sure we don't end and not mention these people. So Eric, Nibbles, Ethereal Swordsman, and Apocalypse Cow all did some Super Chats, and I want to make sure they just got their names mentioned before we get to the end of the stream. But yes, I was mentioning about Super Chats being a great way of supporting, but I always say that if you go into the store and buy some merch, yeah, obviously it's like a smaller profit margin as all stores work on, so it's not like a big Super Chat when you do buy something from the store. But it's cool because that means you get something from NSF into your home. It comes through the post, something physical. And if it's a metal print or a print, and our photographers, which all our prints are from our photographers, if you buy one of those, they get a cut as well. So it's like a real great way of supporting us at the same time as getting something cool into your home. And I've got, obviously, as you can imagine, what a surprise, I've got NSF merch. And there's nothing cooler than going downstairs in my apartment block to the foyer and seeing a package with NSF on it and saying, oh my god, that's arrived for me and it's from NSF, and it's cool. Anyway, I'm talking like an idiot, but there we go. More questions. A technical one for you, Alex. Are you ready for this? I don't know if it's already been asked. Is the payload bay of the ship purged by inert gas?
Ooh. You know what? I don't know the answer to this. It does seem like they retain some of the pressure, some of the atmospheric air that it has on the ground. And we sort of think about this because, when they flew on Flight 3, I think it was, and they tried opening the payload bay door. What are they doing? Hang on.
Hey, look, Teleander, you can't park there, mate. What's he doing?
What is it doing?
Oh,
the barriers. That's funny. Yeah, so, when we saw Flight 3 and they tried opening the payload bay door, you could see some of the air inside of the payload bay sort of, escaping through the door and everything. And I think it was Flight 6 when they flew the banana. Flight 6 on Ship 31, you could still see some, condensation because they showed the banana inside of the payload bay, right? And so you could see some condensation and things like that. So it was probably because there was still air inside of the payload bay, and so yeah, it seems like they keep it with the same air that it launches with on the ground, essentially.
Brilliant. I'm just loving how fast that telehandler zoomed out into view, because they've realised that those panels need moving to allow boosters to continue to roll. See, by the way, people wondering where the joke "you can't park there, mate" comes from. It's because one telehandler kind of like fell off the side of the launch of the launch site one day, and basically they had to pull it out, and it was basically a telehandler version of the meme video, "You can't park there, mate," where the car was in the side of a ditch. There we go. That's where it comes from. That's the original of it. It's about 2 years old. That meme. We got more questions. Oh, this one for you as well, chat. Chat, join in. Ready for a chat question as well then? David Myers asks, do you guys think there's a chance to send ships to Mars in 2026? It's a tough... Elon said it. Elon wants to send uncrewed ships to Mars in 2026. And then if that goes well, crew 2 years later, I think it was, which is really ambitious. But Alex, do you think there's a chance that Starship will be at a point where they can send ships to Mars in 2026, uncrewed ships?
Send them to Mars? Maybe. Getting anything useful out of it? We'll see. By that I mean, you need a ship with actual communications, deep space communications and things like that. You need it also to be able to hold the propellant all the way to Mars on those header tanks and things like that. Of course, if it, as for just sending one, just yeeting it, but then not having any contact with it afterwards, or something like that, sort of like Falcon Heavy demo style with a Starman and everything, where they just yeeted the second stage and never heard about it anymore, right? Sure, maybe by the end of 2026 they could be able to do that. I just think, for a proper mission to land on Mars, even uncrewed, there's going to be a few more modifications that they're going to need to the ship. See, this is one of the other things that I would like to know from the upcoming talk by Elon, where it's like, yeah, you want to go to Mars next window and everything. How are you actually planning to do that, right? I think having more concrete steps towards that will be an interesting thing to know about, but I'm not holding my breath for that.
This is getting out of hand now. There are two of them. There's two telehandlers working on these panels now, so they really want to get them out of the way to allow ship to allow the rollout to continue. And they said ship. There you go. That's a good sign, isn't it? It's the booster. It's the big tall booster, not the ship. But yeah, they're making great progress getting these panels out of the way. But yeah, there's two telehandlers involved now. They're doing a fine job. Must admit, they're getting them out of the way quite fast. I did see Max is quite much in the firing line if he doesn't move soon of these telehandlers. Maybe it's just the angle of the camera that's catching me out there. Again, more thanks. It's unbelievable. It's like what? It's 1 o'clock Eastern time. 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Never mind the European time zones. And we're still getting support in. We've got a new member, Padrat member, William W. We've got Chromatic with the gifted membership. We've got Cornbread. Why not create a catch pad across the street away from the tank farm? Any reason why that'd be a good idea, Alex?
They have a catch pad. It's called Pad B. You know what I meant before about having two towers and how it is very convenient that they are able to have operational flexibility and whatnot. Well, you have two pads here, two towers, right? You have Pad A, launch and catch tower. Pad B, launch and catch tower. You launch from one, and you can catch things on the other in the meantime. You launch from the other, and you can, vice versa. You can do all of this stuff. It's very flexible and very nice. I don't know. You don't need a dedicated catch tower here at Starbase because they already have the two towers very close to each other. At Florida, you have LC-39A, and then 10 or 15 miles south is League 37, right? It's way too far away to... And if you're doing operations, you will have to close off the entirety of the Cape, and so it's I don't think the Space Force will like such a flexibility. It's probably better if within the same launch complex.
Yep. We saw a very energetic jogger at past midnight local time. I don't know how many people go for a jog.
Is that the NSF logo on that shirt?
Oh, it might be. Is it one of ours, or is it just somebody who got one of our merch? I think that's just a Starbase follower who is an NSF merch, which is really cool. I hope Max gets to shake his hand. There we go. We're moving again. Oh, we're going to go through some mud. We're going to go through the same situation as the orbital launch mount rollout. Hang on. Let's keep a very close eye on this. It's amazing how these wheels move on the SPMTs. It's some skill. I mean, obviously, not surprisingly, the people who drive the SPMTs are obviously very well trained. No surprise there whatsoever. But it's still fascinating to see it. Really is cool. Oh, we're going forward again. Watch out for the mud there. We saw this with the orbital launch mount. It did get stuck in the mud. They're keeping a you can see some of the torch. Just checking on that as well. 33 Raptor Mimi losing sleep again because of you guys. Sorry about that. Nothing but love. Lol. Oh, Norris asked a stall question, and I will. It's a question probably some channel would avoid. With Canada Post going on strike, will you be sending patches by courier? No. The way it works is I did see that Canada Post is on strike, but the way it works with the next patches, it'll be a pre-order. So it won't be immediate anyway, and by the time they arrive in the Texas warehouse, the strike will probably be over. But if not, I do believe, because I did do a lot of work with the store, it's things like DHL and what have you, it doesn't necessarily go to Canada Post on the final leg. It sometimes goes all the way through with DHL, so you might be okay. But we will say, we'll keep an close eye on it, and we'll make sure you're all very much informed. Whenever you get something from the store, there is a contact form. I used to deal with it all the time. It used to be just me. Thankfully, I got help now. There's a contact form that we always answer, unlike some places that use automated bots. You know, the Amazons and what have you, they use automated bots to send you like an AI reply. No, we have humans replying to you. So if you ever got something from the store and it was taking a while to arrive, literally all you got to do is use a contact form with your 5-digit order number, which you'll get every time you get an order. With the 5-digit order, we'll track it, we'll look at it, we'll see what the tracking's saying, and we'll keep you informed. So we're very good on that. We have a very good policy of making sure that a human will help you with any queries you have with an order. So that relates to the Canada Post situation. But yeah, pre-order will be the case when they go to full stack for Flight 9's patch. Then about, I think it's 3 weeks or something like that, you expect them to arrive in the warehouse. And then we'll ship them out from the warehouse, and that's when they get into tracking. The tracking number will come your way. By then, I think the Canada Post, they had a strike before, and it didn't last more than 2 weeks, I think it was. Blair Gardner, do you think we'll get a full stack on Pad A and Pad B when Hopper in the foreground? So, that's a while away, isn't it, Alex? Because they're going to do some modifications with Pad A once Pad B is operational. But do you think Hopper will still be there when both Pad A and Pad B are both taking active full stacks? We'll get 2 starships on both pads, and will Hopper still be there in the background? That'd be an amazing photograph, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably something like late 2026, something like that. Because once Pad B is operational, we've heard Elon saying that, you know, they're gonna take Pad A and sort of, you know, update it with all the new stuff. So we're probably going to see demolition of the launch mount and things like that. They're probably going to change the chopsticks with the new design, everything, the shorter ones, right? So yeah, it's probably going to be like a year or so of work. I mean, the flame trench and everything at Pad B, it's sort of taking about a year or so to be made. So I would expect a very similar timeline for Pad A. When they go in and update it with all of the new stuff and everything. So yeah, probably something like late 2026, maybe early 2027. Not that far away. Like, it feels like it's too far away, but it's just like a year and a half from now. It goes by really quickly. Just 2 years ago, you know, April 2023, there was the first flight of Starship. The first full stack flight. The one with a concrete tornado and everything. So just say it.
When you get to my age, Alex, the days just fly by. They just fly by. So yeah, we're a city on Mars before you know it.
They already fly by, and I'm 28. So.
Oh, 28. Oh, Alex. Oh, you're pushing the years on 28. God. Oh, dearie me. Anyway, Matt Farah was the person in the NSF shirt. I was in chat and said, "Hey, that's me with the NSF shirt, Matt." Awesome, that is great. You're literally one of our community out there at Starbase, and you were wearing one of our merch. That was really cool. Thank you, Matt. That's awesome. By the way, other programming note, there's a Dragon coming back home. Alex, it's a CRS-28, isn't it?
No, the 32. It's
32.
yeah,
Way off.
28 was a while ago. This is Cirrus 32, and it's gonna be re-entering really soon. I mean, they already have done the orbit burn. The Dragon trunk is already jettisoned, and that there you can see that re-entry path of the capsule. It's gonna be re-entering over sort of southern California. They're very close to Vandenberg, as you can see there, and splashing down off the coast of Oceanside there in the Pacific. First time for a Cargo 2 Dragon, I guess, or like Dragon 2 Cargo version, whatever. Yeah.
And it's not something SpaceX do a live stream for. They don't do it for. They don't do the cameras and stuff for the cargo returns. They're just for the crew returns. So people are asking about a live stream and us covering it. No.
But if you're in the area, look up, because there's a lot of people that live in that area of California. Let's be honest, right? Like Los Angeles and all that. I mentioned Vandenberg as well. Probably some of the launch teams at SpaceX are going to be going out there or something like that, trying to look out for Dragon, because it's gonna be very close to the coast and even over some of those areas. So even maybe sonic booms, perhaps. So yeah.
Bideford, absolutely one of our regulars, Bideford. Thank you for gifting 502 memberships. Thank you, Bideford. Apocalypse Cow Danger moves back with a question that maybe be forcing Kevin Blessing back on the microphone. What is the difference between the L? Oh, maybe not. What is the difference between L minus and T minus in the countdown? No, we can deal with that, Kevin. L minus is launch minus, so it's launch, whereas T minus is something where they can have holds. So like a ULA webcast is a very good example, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, so we use on our... I know Kevin is not here, but okay, well, he's here. I'm going to say it anyways, Kevin. So we use no earlier than the net thing when it's like just like based on notices and things like that. When SpaceX confirms it, then it's like L minus. We say L minus because there's a window and they could decide to roll into the window. So the L minus is counting to the opening of the window. But the T0 could be somewhere in that window, which seems to be like maybe 90 minutes long or something like that, like an hour and a half. So, it could be at the beginning of the window, that T0 could be a little bit later, and then even when we are into, countdown operations, it still can change because Starship, like Falcon 9, can hold for like 15-20 minutes. And so, that T0 can change within that window. But yeah, Kevin, you want to say something? I saw you hopping in.
No, actually, there was a discussion in the back channel, our back channel, with all the camera operators that I did it wrong, but I think I did it right?
Yeah, I think it's fair to put it as L minus until...
It's L minus. It's also net, I guess. Technically, it's net.
Sure.
But, yeah, I don't know. And I didn't want to change it once the stream started because then... X will notice that I changed it, and all of a sudden people will be talking about it like we're doing right now. So
well, there you go.
No, I think it's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to give it, I'll give some historical example. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say I'm glad Chris B agrees, because if Chris B agrees, he's NASA Spaceflight official, then I'm okay.
No, that's not really a good policy. It's not a good policy to work with. If Daz says it's a good idea, it's a good idea. If I say it's a good idea, ask Daz. That's a simple policy there. I am a numpty, don't take any notice of me. I can give some historical examples though. The space shuttle, which I've often been known to say as a reference now and again, was a 3-day countdown. It's a 3-day countdown. And a lot of people didn't realise that because they saw the T-minus clock on the Kennedy Space Center, the old clock. Remember the old clock with the lights? It used to be like 96 hours, and like you'd have like difference of like 9 hours, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, it's T-minus 9 hours, but there's still like ages to go yet. They had several built-in holds during the countdown, and that's why it was a T-minus clock that would then stop at a T-minus like 9 hours point. And then they'd have an opportunity again to pause at T-minus 31 seconds or continue through to auto sequence. And basically, the few times where they held at T-minus 31 seconds, they'd have 4 minutes for an ISS launch, 4 minutes to rectify the problem or scrub. It was amazing, tense, because the last few missions had a few of those. And there was literally like 2 seconds for, I think it was STS-133. They had 2 seconds remaining where they say, pick up the count. And it was amazing. I will fight one shuttle Sunday in the future, I will show it. It's amazing, the professionalism of the NASA test director, the launch director, and the team in the background. They were like rushing, and 2 seconds to go, they said, pick up the count. Anyway, I digress. I mentioned shuttle. It's entering the pad. It means we're coming to the end of the stream, and you'll have me stopping mumbling because my brain's gone. But we are getting there. We have now got booster 14-2. It's coming off Highway 4. It is departing Highway 4. It is entering the pad. It will move up to Pad A. Remember to watch Starbase Live because we continue the camera coverage all the way through. We just, on a dedicated stream, stop talking, which some people will say is a blessing in my case. Because we'll get to the chopsticks, they'll probably hook up the chopsticks and then they'll lift it onto the orbital launch mount. It's a several hour process. We can't stay live all the way through. They're talking on that because I am desperately wanting to go to bed. What about you, Alex?
I also want to go to bed, but I also need to complete things that I've not completed yet, and I should probably complete them. But yeah.
Indeed. I'm just waiting for Kevin to type in the back room. Yeah, we're going to be stopping the stream soon. But he hasn't typed it yet. Kevin, will you please tell us we're getting close to the end of the stream? Turtle Sanctuary. We're still getting super chats. I don't know why. But I am just now mumbling at this point in time. So why we're still getting super chats, I don't know. The chat saying, keep going, Kevin, keep going. Oh dear. Turtle Sanctuary. If it applies to you, thank you. For all of us, we thank you. Well, thank you, Turtle Sanctuary. That was awesome. And that was a big super chat, by the way. As is Jerry Segwa, who just says thanks for the coverage. I honestly don't know what we're doing to deserve it, apart from the camera views. I'll give you the camera. Camera views are amazing, so we're really enjoying that. The commentary, from me at least, less so, but thankfully I've got Alex backing me up, so we're okay. Oh, we got some more questions. I think this is probably a good question to make sure we get to the end of the stream on, because people may be joining now, especially in the European time zones, wondering for status. The status is Boost 14's entering pad, but the question from Xavier asks, do you think they'll make it to launch day, or are they going to be delayed? Cutting it kind of close since it's 3 days away. I'm not feeling any pressure, Alex. I'm thinking they're still well within the time to get the booster on the orbital launch mount, to get ship rolled out, to get fully stacked, and to get ready for launch day. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before earlier in the stream, it seems like, compared to the Flight 8 schedules and timelines, it seems like they might still have the time to be able to roll out Ship 35 and stack both vehicles. Booster 14 is already on the pad. As you can see on the right hand side of that view, the chopsticks are in place to be able to hug the booster, right, and lift it on the launch mount. We'll just be waiting for Ship 35 to roll down Highway 4 and be stacked on Booster 14. That will hopefully be probably tomorrow on the 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. Road closure that is planned for tomorrow.
Very good. Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic about Tuesday. Again, this is the caveat you have to mention is they've got to get the vehicle full stacked and ready for launch, and they could easily have, fingers crossed, touch wood they don't, an issue getting the vehicles onto the pad. Now, there's the first part is the booster being lifted by the chopsticks onto the orbital launch mount and then installed and everything going well with that. And then for ship to roll out without any issues, arrive at the pad and get stacked by the chopsticks. Again, chopsticks, which would be a great thing to watch, by the way. We'll be a dedicated stream for that for sure. For a full stack. And that full stack situation is always a little bit kind of tense because it's very hard to do, even with the chopsticks, to get a good, nice, clean mate on top of the hot staging ring. And if that goes well, great. And then we can get the patch release. Yes, well done, Evo Mush. You beat me to it. At that point, when the ship is on top of the hot staging ring and we have a full stack, Adrian will press a button in our store and graphics will arrive on screen showing you the patch, the NSF patch that is cost, the NSF patch for Flight 9. I think it's awesome. I think it's on topic, and I think it's not going to doom the mission. Unlike some of the previous ones, Alex, our previous patches have not come through to fruition, shall we say, because of ship having a bad day. But this
Some of
time,
them. Others have actually been okay. We had the booster catch, I think, on Flight 5, and it was caught. So, yeah. I'm not going to say anything more. I have seen the patch, but I'm not going to say anything more.
Oh, I might. Eric says, you've now jinxed it, Chris. I will say, we have officially not jinxed it. Oh, I'm saying too much, aren't I? I really am. Right, I'm going to stop. See, I'm literally forcing Kevin to say when an endpoint is now, because I'm just literally rambling so much. I'm going to start leaking things.
Don't leak, Chris. Don't leak.
I want to do. I want to turn my OBS on. I want you to say, Kevin, can we go to present, please? And Adrian will wake up tomorrow and go, what have you done?
I'll tell you. On Friday, I almost leaked the patch because I put the intro with the patch on the end of it. I actually put that in by accident, and I almost played it. In about stream minus 30 seconds, I realized, oh no, it has the patch in it. I need the other one. So I almost leaked it.
Oh dear. Well,
Chris, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about before we wrap, because Chris K got us this on the back channel, and I'm looking at upper level winds. Now, normally, when there's just a little slant to the winds, we're starting to get concerned. I can't read these things, but that looks concerning, doesn't it? Can anybody read this that's here right now?
Definitely not me. Chat. I'm sure there'll be someone in chat who can read these things. I know Adam Coco would be great at this, but I can't. I know
see?
Yeah.
See, everybody's in chat saying wind shear. Someone said, "Yikes!" That looks like it's gonna be windy on Tuesday.
When we did the weather question and people in chat were citing the Weather Channel, the wording was used sunny and windy.
Doesn't look too windy though. Like there's some shear, but these bars. I don't know if you can go back. The way to read them,
I pushed the wrong button. Sorry.
Well,
hold on. Here you go.
So the way to read them is like you have the stick, right, and then you have like the little other smaller sticks. I believe one of the big sticks is like 10 knots, and then you keep adding the bigger ones, and I think the smaller ones are like 5. So you can see there's like 10 knots. It goes up to 30 knots, maybe around 10 kilometers or so. Around the 300. I'm looking at the sort of pressure scale on the left and everything. So there's some shear, like it changes direction and everything, but the wind itself, it doesn't seem like it is too strong. You know what I mean?
Because the scale is down at the bottom.
Oh.
I get it now. Okay, yeah, Kevin, learn how to read graphs.
See, I'm glad I just said I don't understand these graphs. I just don't understand them, but the one thing I always say, and I say this for a lot of things, is whenever we have a concern, be it in chat or on commentary or anything like that, where you're thinking, ooh, that's not great, I guarantee you there are some very well paid, well, I say well paid as in professional people who are paid to do the job. Let's phrase it that way, rather than like they get extra money than anyone else compared to anyone else, who know what they're doing. So they would not go for a launch and go, you know what, we should have been watching the rollout stream because they're talking about wind shear and we didn't realise it's going to be bad. They know what they're doing. So right now we're on for Tuesday. They will have looked at the weather forecast and they will be either confident or unconfident, and they'll go for it. The thing about Starship is we've had how many scrubs have we had in the Starship program, Alex? Is it 2?
What?
1? I mean, was it a delay? We had a second launch there, didn't we? For one. It was definitely one scrub.
Yeah, for scrubs we have had 2, Flight 1 and Flight 8.
Which is incredible.
As for like delays into the window, well, there's been a few more of those, both flight 7, 8, I think flight 1 and 2. But flights 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think all of them went right at the opening of the window, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe flight 5 actually delayed. I will have to look it up. It's very late here, or rather too early, depending on how you see it.
I've just got the wonderful words from Kevin. We can start to wrap. I don't think I can move from a chair. I honestly do not think I can stand up and get to my bedroom. That's how tired I am right now. But yes, I do want to cover this. I'll use this as part of my wrap-up, right? Is that Starship is encouraging in that respect, because you don't want this rapidly reusable rocket constantly scrubbing and being held by weather. It seems to be very capable at launching at the first attempt in the majority of cases, and the weather conditions don't seem to be a big factor. That wasn't the reason for the scrub on Flight 1, was it? So it's a case of, this is a rocket that seems to be more immune from the concerns other rockets can tend to have with weather conditions and with countdowns. So that's a very encouraging sign for its future once the cadence arrives. Okay, right. I want to say quickly thank you to everybody who's been supporting this stream, because it's been a very, very late out stream, even regardless of where you're from, unless you're Australian or something like that. It's been incredible support for a stream of that nature. So I really appreciate it. I want to say that as someone who started this, to really emphasize how much I appreciate it. It's important to say, I don't say it enough, I'm a Yorkshireman. I sound very disingenuous, and I really do mean it when I say I thank you all for it. And I also want to thank everybody who stayed up in chat, regardless if you're a member or not. You're all very much welcome and very much appreciated, because without the big audience we get for our streams, it'd be pointless to do them, wouldn't it? So thank you to everybody, and I really mean that as well. It really does. It doesn't matter if you're your first time here, your first time person, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Very much appreciate it. And thank you to Kevin Michael Reed in the background for producing, because I never thank the producers. I'm going to thank Kevin first, the producer of this stream, providing you all the views and all different things. Thank you to all our team out in the field who'll be providing the camera views for Kevin to provide to the stream. I'm going to mess this up. For everyone out there, late at night again, very much appreciated. Thank you to all our operators, by the way, in the background. Our SPL operators are our team and are amazing, and they work 24/7, and they'll be continuing with Starbase Live, which is where the stream will continue. Regardless of the voices turning off, you'll still see the camera views and what have you because of Starbase Live. And thank you to Dee for being on after a massive, crazy, long journey. The longest I've ever driven in my life was 3 hours to London. I will never, ever do it again. Dee, if you're still with us, how long have you been driving?
Well, if you only count the driving, it's a total of 20 hours. I did stop last night. I think I only did about 9 hours today, but it has been a long day and I did not get much sleep last night, so I am going to bed now.
Yeah, 20 hours driving just does not compute with me. I would not be able to do it. I'd end up in middle of Europe for a start. That's how far I'd be driving. The drive to London I did was 3 hours, and I will never ever do it again. I go by train if I ever go to London again. So well done, Dee. Thank you for coming on and then doing commentary after that drive. I mean, goodness me. But also thank you to Alex. And Alex, I really enjoy doing, I mean this genuinely. I've never really said this to you. I don't think I have. But I really enjoy doing commentary streams with you. I really enjoy it. So thank you, Alex, for being on. It's been great.
Thank you. And, more coming up soon. I'm going to be on Countdown to Launch this Sunday, so stay tuned for that.
Yep, indeed. Right, so this is where I collapse in bed, and I thank you all for being on. The stream will continue with Starbase Live, where you'll get to see everything that's going on. The only thing you'll lose is the commentary, and I think maybe a blessing in the case of me. I'm just rambling now. But thanks for joining us, and until next time, goodbye.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight comes SPMT off. Say again, SPMT off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go. Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
There's nothing to be exciting and clear, correct?